YouTube lags. Hello. Hello, everybody. We're just waiting till the minute mark because YouTube lags and I want to make sure the whole video gets on. Maybe I'll go to 30 seconds. Ain't that the truth about the truth to put a world of hurt on you? Maybe now turn into never. Who do you think you are, kid? Okay. What's up, everybody? So, if you've been following the channel a while, you'll know that there's something wrong with me. And I want to give you guys some insight because I'm a victim and the perpetrator is the justice system in a small town prejudice. And my family. And it cost me everything trying to survive. And I'm having a lot of trouble getting closure and justice for what happened. And I know I'm not crazy. So I want to tell you what happened. And hopefully you can discern and tell me if I'm crazy. Cool? I'm giving you guys an opportunity to tell me I'm crazy. If I don't respond to your chat message, it's because I muted you. I mute everybody for my own, so I don't have to think about it, you know? So to start off, I would say it started off in 2020. COVID happened and the BL movements. Come on, phone. I know Mercury's in Gatorade. My shit's fucking up. All right, we're here. 2020, the police downtown in Brattleboro, Sergeant Hamilton, was following black people around. I lived right downtown by the co-op, right by South Main. So some of the black people that he was following around were my friends. I was in youth programs that go on past when you turn 18. So some of these kids who were like 18 to 21, and I was 20, I had just turned 20, they would all hang out at my apartment because it was a safe place. Obviously, we had issues and unstable housing and things like that. So they would come hang out with me. So I'm assuming it started there because the police would follow them to my apartment and they'd see them going into my apartment, people coming in and out. Fast forward, I mean, there was one instance where my ex-girlfriend would go to her grandma's house where she lived when she wasn't living with me. And she told her that once we got in a fight because she was lying to me. And I was like, how long are you going to lie to my face? I know I have a brain injury. I know you're seeing other guys. You have no idea how far it's going, but I walk downtown and see you in other guys' cars. So one time she wouldn't leave my house, so I picked her up by her legs, threw her over my shoulder, carried her to the apartment, and dropped her. And she went home and told her grandma. So the next time she came to my house, we were having sex, and it was actually a good day for us. We had mostly positive days. It was never like screaming at each other or anything. That was the worst it ever got, with me saying, just leave. Okay, I'll pick you up and put you out. Lock the door, and you have to go. But her grandma showed up and told the police I was hitting her and tons of stuff that wasn't true. So 7 cops showed up at the door while we were having sex. She's in my boxers and a t-shirt, and I'm in my shorts. And they were trying to pressure her to say that I hit her. And she didn't, because it's not true. And then she came back to me and everything was fine, but her grandma was like, like a Karen outside my apartment staring at me. So then I mean, the cops probably saw me wandering around South Main, barefoot, enjoying my life, sitting up by this this parking lot above where my apartment is, which is really cool, and it's a cool place to sit, and it doesn't get very busy, but the homeless shelter's right there. So I mean, I was in the area, you know what I'm saying? I was in that bad part of town. Regardless, I made money on cryptocurrency. I moved to West Virginia, so I left for a little bit. People didn't see me for a while. I came back and had a nice Dodge Magnum, aftermarket everything. Dressed in Tim boots and gold chain and my hat backwards. They'd see me downtown with the people that would sit there and drink because it was right next to where I live. So I'd go down there and talk to them sometimes, and they would be mad at the cops. So I would be kind of standing there. Then in the fall, my neighbor starts calling the police for noise complaints. If I'd be hanging out with my friends, we'd be playing music. He'd slam on my door. I'd open it. He was like, "I need you to turn your music down." I said, "Is it that bad?" He was like, "Yes." I said, "Okay, do you want my phone number? And you can text me a speaker emoji next time so I can turn it down for you so we don't have to do this ever again, because I don't like this at all. I don't like this wimpy man screaming in my face about noise when I'm just trying to hang out with my friends, which is a rare occurrence for me, to be having a good time." And I think that that's really what he was mad about. So that escalated. He said, "No, I won't send you I'm not going to get your phone number. Just turn your fucking music down." But he said it like, "Just turn your fucking music down." Fast forward, he called once a week for 4 months, 5 months, from like summer of 2021 all the way to February of 2022. Pretty much every week there would be 1 to 5 cops at my door. And there's no sound. Maybe it's like I'll play music for a half hour, they call, I'm already done mixing my thing on my music. I told him like I wanted to work with him to turn the knob so he couldn't hear it. If you looked into my apartment, you'd see I had thrift store blankets around the entire wall and ceiling, blocking my room completely. Like I couldn't hear it, but maybe he felt the bass, and just even a little bit when you sit alone by yourself. He'd been sitting there most likely for like half a decade, 5, 6 years, alone with no friends, just in his apartment in dead silence. So of course, like any tick is going to bother him, and that builds up and builds up and builds up. So he was blowing up over little things and calling the cops. The problem is there was a brothel on the top floor right when I got there in 2019. And it was part of my lease agreement at the time that if police show up for any reason, I get evicted. So I was on thin ice, having to negotiate with my landlord about like, yeah, it's a noise complaint. I've tried to talk to him. The other neighbors don't have a problem with it. There are louder noises upstairs that I deal with, and I'm not worried about it. I'm trying. And she'd be like, every time she'd get worse and worse and worse to me. And eventually, because of that, and I didn't file my paperwork on time, they evicted me. Before I got evicted, I was getting ready to move my stuff out. All my stuff was going from this to my car. My car battery had an alternator problem, so I'd have to bring instead of hauling the battery up to my apartment, I would bring an extension cord from the hallway by the door and bring it out to my car and put the car battery charger on the car. I'm surprised it didn't get stolen, but they had a huge problem with that. I couldn't have the extension cord going out, so she was really mad about that. One time, the maintenance worker, Paul, yelled at me to close the door, and I didn't like the way he was talking to me. So I was like, fucking make me, because it's not that big a deal. So he got up and pushed me as hard as he could and slammed the door in my face, which is assault, but nobody cared. Then all my stuff is in the hallway. I'm bringing it out to the car. I'm about to go into my apartment for possibly the last time, and my neighbor comes out really proud like this, and he's walking in a straight line in the middle of the hallway. He's gonna bump into me, I'm gonna bump into him. I just made the decision that I'm gonna brush my shoulder like this. So if he bumps me out of the way, I'm not gonna be pushed back. I'm gonna keep going forward. You know, like things you think about when you live in isolation for years. So we both were like taking it way too serious. But I had been almost molested by his friend, and they were sort of torturing me when I was having psychosis in the public housing. I'd be sit there paranoid, scared, and then the guy upstairs would feel it somehow. He said he was a psychic, but he'd always come down and they would talk, and he would tell me he was doing witchcraft on me. I would feel it, whether it was like psychological trauma or actually real. I was going through a lot in that place. I was there for a reason. So I pushed him out of the way, even though he was going to push me out of the way. It should have been a mutual affray, if anything, but the cop showed up. This is the same cop that there's a video of him on the internet using a woman's breast as a handle. She's on the ground. He's grabbing her breast to pull her to his closer, holding onto her tit and slamming her head to the pavement, I think 7 or 8 times, then elbowing her nose, trying to break it, and then putting his elbow in her eye, 250 pounds of pressure, trying to pop her eye out of her socket because he didn't like the way she looked. She looked like a junkie. So he was like, he did a bunch of stuff to like, you know, like he wanted me to take behavior classes. He wanted me to, he gave me an assault charge and said, I'm going to have to take behavior classes for 9 weeks. And he was really snide about it. And then when I'm walking into my apartment down the steps, he jumps off the steps and slams right next to me, puts his shoulders out and tries to push me out of the way. The same exact way that, like, way worse than anything I did, which was just defend myself against an incoming push. So that's why I originally went to court for the first time. Right before the court hearing, my father, who is an alcoholic, and he has mental health issues, he has problems. It's not unnatural for me to ignore him for months. So he was just messaging me stuff, and I didn't have the capacity to deal with it. So I was just like, I'm meditating. I'm in a stressful time in my life. I need to focus on this so I can get through and kind of make better decisions. And there's so much chaos in my life. I'm having trouble functioning. So I need my peace. So I just didn't say anything to him at all. I didn't want to even give any energy to that. So I think he intuitively picked up that even if he was pretending to care, I think it was more of a power thing for him. Like, this guy's not going to fucking ignore me. Just like he goes, you're not going to fucking tell me what to do. He was like that. Even if he was pretending not to be, it was still stuck on him. And I've known my dad I know that that's the case. You can't, especially if you drink, you know, you might not even realize. So he calls the police and tells them I'm in a mental health crisis, which is what my family does. My aunts did it to my other aunt. Esther and Ethel did it to Melissa once. That's what they do. And a lot of people do it. It's happened to me many times. So police show up and they can't get into my apartment. Eventually they decide I'm going to get maintenance to open the door, and I'm going to go in and check. They had my phone number. They didn't knock. They didn't try to get a hold of me. They just broke into my apartment. So all I know is I'm sitting there panicking, like, what's the Matrix? I'm like, I know I'm meditating. I feel like that might be the Matrix. All of a sudden there's like 6 cops here, and my drunk dad is freaking out. And all I was trying to do was have space and peace to focus, to get myself out of my chaotic situation. And all of a sudden there's a cop there. The cop's in. I'm Googling, like, are cops allowed to go into your house? And then he's in my room. And I'm like, I don't think you're allowed to be here. And I was like, well, maybe you should have called me or something. And then he sneezed. The sneeze hit my whole face. He leaves. The next morning I wake up and I'm incredibly sick. Like, really sick. Like, sicker than I've ever been in my life. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was COVID and I had been in isolation in public housing. I never got it as bad as other people did. Or maybe it could have been like 7 or 8, like a cop that goes around to all these different people. Maybe he picked up like a horde of germs and my body just wasn't ready. My immune system wasn't ready. So I got hit with a bunch of different stuff. Either way, I woke up and I had a 102 fever on a thermometer that my mom had given me. I knew I was sick. I had court. Coincidentally, I have court. So I'm calling the courthouse. Court's in a half hour. I say, hey, I'm really sick. I'm not lying to you. I'm not trying to get out of this. It's for a simple assault where the guy bumped into me. Can you please either put me through because my public defender won't answer me? The judge won't answer me. I sent him an email. I don't know what court is. I don't know what their life is like. I've never been other than family court. So I'm calling her and she's giving me the worst attitude I've ever gotten. She's just having a bad day. She doesn't like me at all. She thinks, I don't know what she thinks, but maybe she's used to hearing these phone calls of guys trying to get out. But she hung up on me 4 times and I kept calling back and trying to talk to different people and talk to her supervisor and just say, hey, I'm really sick. It is an emergency. I don't know if I'll be able to make it across town. And I didn't say it, but I didn't want people to see me as sick because my reputation had already been ruined because of the car accident. Everyone always thought I was a nut. I didn't want to look as disheveled and strung out and have to walk through town sick to get to court, especially because it had been years and I had had no social interaction. So that was huge. I should have done it. The right thing to do would have been done. And like, fuck these guys. Let's just get it over with and move the fuck on. Whatever they think, I don't give a fuck. And I think that attitude would have actually solved a lot of stuff, especially if I came in and said, hey, I'm really sick, but I'm trying. But I didn't. I thought I could call them and then I would be rested and I would be dressed nice and I would go to court and hold myself well. But instead they hung up on me. They wouldn't put me into the courtroom. I said, please, just can you bring the phone in and just put me on speaker so I can explain myself? And they kept hanging up. And I got radio silence from my public defender, from the courthouse, from everybody. So I assumed either they just dismissed the case because it was so simple and they have real things like rape and murder to deal with, that maybe they're just like, yeah, they bumped into each other, I'll just let it go. I thought that's what they did because that's what I would have done, especially because there was no evidence. It was issued without evidence. So nothing. So I get evicted. I go stay at my mom's house. Things are all right. My mom's spiritual. She has bad mental health issues and 2 decades of social isolation and just, I don't know, how many hours of screen time you think? Like 20 hours a day, you get 4 hours of sleep. 20 hours a day glued to a screen, not talking to anybody, except the way that I berate the camera, she berates her friend who listens. And they just talk shit, do whatever, gossip all day. So I stayed there for 3 days with my cat and I was making music. I felt really good. It's so rare for me to feel the way that I felt then. My cat felt it and my cat did something to ruin it. And then it looked at me like, what are you going to do about it? Because I raised my cat like a person. My cat would communicate with me. It would talk to me like a person. We raised it as a kid. The cat would come up to my girlfriend and I and tell us it needs food. Or if the litter box was bad, it would come guide us into the litter box. Like it would take us and bring us to what it wanted. It was smart. And I'd had so many like meditating and I have a panic attack and the cat comes and helps. Or if I feel like there was an entity in the room and the cat, I watched the cat push it out of the house. It's a black cat. So I would feel like there's this dark shadow monster and the cat goes to my Egyptian statue, sits next to it for a minute. I feel it gain some type of peace and power and then just slowly guides it out of the apartment and then it never comes back. I had like being alone and not speaking for 3 years and living with a cat that intelligent. I had developed a relationship with the cat. So I knew what it was doing and the cat knew what it was doing. It was trying to mess me up. Probably because I fed him cornflakes for 6 months, and then he went to my mom's house, and she was giving him gourmet food. So maybe it was just like a last fuck you. So I did this. I picked the cat up. I didn't toss him like a football. I picked him up like this. The cat was like, "Oh, I fucked up." And I'm like, "You fucked up, bro." And then I went, boop. Because the cat's a bit retarded too. So the cat did not land on his feet. Because he'd never been thrown like that. He lived in, I didn't give him a cat tree or anything. He didn't run around. He sat next to me and watched, we played video games together. So the cat fell like this. And I thought to myself, like, I don't want to live like this. So I woke my mom up and said, "Hey, I threw the cat like this. I'm going to get my car battery charger, charge my car, and I'm going to leave and DoorDash. Go get some money, figure my life out." It's the middle of winter, sub-zero, or close to it. It was cold that night. I think it was March. Maybe it was like late February, March. I go get my car battery and my charger. I'm bringing it back. I'm right outside the door with my car battery and my car battery charger because my car has an alternator problem that drains the battery. My mom is going, "Hurry, hurry, hurry. He's right here, hurry." And I knew what was happening. I knew she was lying to the cops. It's a tough thing to unpack, but basically split personalities, no accountability, like you have to get up and focus and do things every day, splits your mind apart. So one part of her may have actually been PTSD reacting, but there is another manipulative, I call it demonic part that knew what it was doing. The same way that my dad and my girlfriend and me back in the day before I had the spiritual awakening and really committed to self-care, shadow work, healing, the nerdy stuff with spirituality. Before I got to this point, I would get angry like that. And I would, I'd get drunk and I would I knew that I could sleep with the girl with the boyfriend, ruining their relationship. I did stuff like that twice I did it when I was 17. And I'm like, I had to de-escalate my mother as a child because she would get up and run in circles screaming, or if I needed something like a ride somewhere, she would freak out like this, and I had to fix it. I was responsible for parenting my parents, even if they don't want to accept that. No normal kid should have to deal with such an emotionally volatile space like that just to get his needs met, like getting a ride somewhere. So I go around to the window, I look in, and my mom is holding a kitchen knife and she's smiling. I don't know if this is a fear reaction or what, but she's holding a kitchen knife and smiling like this. And she's on the phone with the cops. I don't know what's going on. I can tell, but I was trying to imagine that wasn't the case. I was hoping maybe there was something else happening. I go to open the window just to be like, "Are you good?" She slams the window in my face aggressively. Slams the thing. I go back around, I get to the door. All I was trying to do, what's going on? This is not what's happening. You are delusional. You are reacting in fear to something not actually happening. False evidence appearing real. You've convinced yourself of something that's not the case. I'm just trying to charge my car battery and leave. I turn around, the cops are right there. They say like, "Are you Casey?" I go, "Well, I said, if you want my ID, it's in my apartment." Or they said, "Do you have your license on you?" They didn't say, "Are you Casey?" They said, "Hey, do you have your license on you?" I said, "My license is in my apartment." And they just grabbed me. I put my hands up like this. I was like, what are you doing? What's going on? They pushed me into a door. So my mom is looking through the peephole. I am pinned against the door with my arms like this. Like this. And they're trying to get my arms down. They can't. I had a whole home gym in my apartment. I was strong as fuck. They couldn't put my arms down. They were like, both these cops are like 5'6", and I'm like 5'9", 5'10". They couldn't put my arms down. I'm literally saying, look at yourselves. Just talk to me. I'm right here. They pull out the pepper spray, and the cop the look on the cop's face was like this. When they first approached me, they were like this. Do you have your license on you? And I believe in the Matrix, in the devil. Like, I believe in a supernatural force, like the enemy. So when I see these cops show up, do you have your license on you? I'm like, I mean, it's in my apartment. And then he pepper spray me, throw me on the ground, pulled me on the carpet, on the back of my neck, I think, or just on my body like that, putting a lot of pressure. They cuff me. My mom is still like out of it. I don't know. But she comes out and goes, he needs help. And I'm like, you did this. Trying to say, like, you overreacted to something that wasn't true. You made up something and you're attacking me for it, and you were smiling, is what I was trying to say. Like, you maliciously attacked your son. Why? He was trying to go to a better life. He made a smart decision to get out of that. He was trying to do something good for himself. And he was about to leave your area of control, and you smiled and lied to the cops. You grabbed a knife and made it seem like there was something that wasn't true happening, and you lied to the police. She told me later, she told them I might have a grenade, is what she told me. She's on the phone call, she said he has a bat, he has a machete, I don't know, he might have a grenade. So the cops responded like I'm gonna have a grenade on me. I haven't seen I don't know if that's actually what she said, but that's what she told me she said. So, ambulance comes, this entire Section 8 apartment complex is there. I'm assuming their phones are out, it's gonna go on Facebook. I had been working so hard to function, to fix my reputation in town, that I'm not a crazy person, and I'm just suffering from things I had no control over. I'm not falling into a severe mental illness like schizophrenia. I'm coping with PTSD in isolation, which is the worst form of human torture possible. I had a brain injury or some type of like chaotic mess of bad events that caused me to get my wires crossed, and I didn't have a safe place to heal. I was immediately put into unsafe environments, and I was young and alone. I didn't have a mental illness. I was waking up to actually more of reality because of my compartmentalization as a child. I was just working through these problems, but I wasn't taking it out on people. I would get overwhelmed trying to burden myself with all these things to fix it, and I would lash out at injustice. Like if somebody does something wrong to me, or they're lying, or something just not working right, and I see that there's something else, I'm trying to fix it. And that makes me mad. It was never directed at people. It was just trying to solve these equations in such a stressful place. But people assumed I'm just a whack job. So I was already trying to like make people respect me again. And now I'm carted out after she lied and all this, and like the pepper spray, I'm trying to hold my head high, bear through the pain. It doesn't, like, just ignore it. And they put me in the ambulance. The sergeant, of course, they called their supervisor because they did something wrong. So their supervisor's already on the scene. I didn't have to ask for their supervisor. They called their supervisor because they used excessive force and didn't read me they didn't do the proper police procedure, which is just talk to the guy. They just grabbed me. They're trying to figure out how to save their ass so they don't get fired, or I could file a lawsuit. So they call their sergeant. Their sergeant comes up to talk to me. There's two like 17-year-old kids that are like on call in like a high school EMT program, and they're washing my eyes, and they don't give a fuck. So they don't do anything. They like maybe wiped it. They like dabbed a rag and wiped it. If you don't know, if you've never been maced, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to get it out. You have to keep going and then do it again and then do it again and then do it again and then do it again. Get fresh rags, and you have to keep going. And it's in your hair, your eyes, your eyebrows, your hair. So you're going to sweat and it's going to come back out. So you have to wash the hair, you have to wash this to actually get it out. What they did was just take a couple rags and do it once. And then they let me go. So I told the sergeant, I want an apology from you. Well, I wasn't there. Well, you're going to find out. And I want an apology. Didn't answer me. Takes me back to the police cruiser. They sit me in the car. The cops aren't taking me to jail. They're letting everyone watch, and they're standing around me. And I can't remember what they were saying, but I think they were trying to get me to incriminate myself because there was no evidence for the arrest until they figured out I had an outstanding warrant, which happened later. They didn't know. That warrant saved their life, which is God, because I would have gotten millions of dollars for that. Like $4 or $5 million for a lawsuit where I'm arrested for no reason and maced. So they didn't wash my eyes. I told the cop was like something like this, and I was like, I don't like your little dick and your whiny attitude. And I was like, I know somebody out there watching like that. And then they put me in jail. They don't wash my eyes. I'm put into a cell. I can't see. I told them, hey, they didn't do a good job washing my eyes. Can you please wash my eyes? It hurts. I can't see. They said, yeah, maybe. They put me in the cell. Nobody came. I tried to get the running water. There was no running water. I don't know what's in the toilet. I can't see what's in the toilet. I'm not going to reach my hand around and look for shit or something. So I'm not going to dip my sheet in there. They didn't give me a pillow or a blanket. So I'm in there. I'm using the sheet, and I'm trying to get as little bit of water as I can from the water faucet and try to wipe my eyes, and it's not working, and it's just making more go in. Eventually I just went, until the lieutenant was like, can I help you? And I was like, maybe. They did a really bad job of washing my eyes. Can you please just let me go and wash my eyes in the bathroom? And he was like, I'll get to you when I get to you. 48 hours, nothing. They would throw a McDonald's burger in. Like every 12 hours, they would chuck a McDonald's burger in. Just one cheeseburger. And that's it. No food other than one $1 cheeseburger from McDonald's. And no water. So the 2 days go by. Eventually they come and they let me wash my eyes, and I didn't know to get my hair, I didn't know to get this. I just wiped my eyes and then it came back in. They did give me an opportunity. They said I had 30 seconds to wash my eyes. So they gave me 30 seconds to wipe all of it out. And these were new cops. They didn't just spritz at me. So it was everywhere. Then the next day goes by, no sleep, bags under my eyes. I look like a corpse. I feel like I was spiritually attacked the whole time. I had a bunch of really vivid, incredible dreams. But I felt like that was definitely like some type of systematic spiritual attack that made me feel like even worse and drained and lifeless and just hurt. So I look probably like a corpse, like how you'd imagine somebody addicted to a hard drug. So the police don't take me to court. A sheriff shows up. The sheriff, he was polite, but at one point in the travel cuffs, he just stood over me, and I'm not sure if I couldn't see his face. But I know that there was a cop's crotch this close to my face, and he's just standing there. And I'm cuffed, like I can't do anything. And he's just standing there for like a couple minutes, not saying a word. I don't know. But eventually I just moved like this. And then eventually we got up and brought me to court. Put me in a cell, brought me to the courtroom. I'm having trouble being in my body and focusing. I still have pepper spray in my eyes. So I'm like this. Haven't slept in 2 days. I passed out for like a couple hours eventually. The judge makes some comment about my appearance, like a snide remark. My lawyer doesn't say anything. The prosecution chuckles. The cop chuckles. I know in court you're supposed to stand up when you want to speak. They said you don't just say, "May I speak?" You just stand up and then they let you speak. So I went to stand up. The cop puts his hand on his gun, unholsters the gun, pulls it out a little bit, looks at me like this, and lunges at me when I stand up. So I don't say anything. I just stand up, waiting to speak. Nobody gives me the opportunity to speak. They completely ignore that I'm standing. I don't want to piss them off because they already look angry. I don't know what's going on. I've never been through this. They don't say anything of importance other than like the charges were bumping into the guy in the hallway. I gave him this cardboard mudra when I first moved in. There's a mosquito getting a lot of blood from me. There's a cardboard mudra I gave him when I first moved in 2019, that in 2022, when he got me evicted, I took it back and I ripped it up. He got mad, called the cops, and I got petty larceny for that. It was mine though. Then I got disorderly conduct for screaming that I had saying, "You did this," to my mom after they pepper sprayed me. I got disorderly conduct for that. I got resisting arrest when they grabbed me and said nothing, and I went, "What are you doing? Just talk to me. Please, I'm right here. Just talk to me. I don't know what's going on." I got resisting arrest for that, where they could have said like, "Hey, you have a warrant. I'm sorry, you got to go in, and then tomorrow or on Monday you can go to court." They said nothing, and they maced me. All I needed was just like reaffirming what's happening because it feels like I'm being attacked for stuff that I didn't do. Like maybe they have the wrong guy. Obviously not, because I know my mom. But I could have said like, "Hey, my mom has severe mental health issues and is overreacting. You can tell by my calm demeanor that's not the case. You can check the camera footage and know." And I guarantee if we sat down with my mom, she would say, "No, we didn't display any disorderly behavior." She would have tried to lie like she always does. And then I would have to say, "Well, actually, I said I was leaving to go better my life, right? I didn't yell at you. I didn't say anything concerning other than I threw the cat." But I could have just said, like, it wasn't like a football chuck. So I leave court and now I'm homeless. And I have nowhere to go. Nothing to do. I can DoorDash. So I DoorDashed, made just enough money for gas, and then I'd find a place and it was like sub-zero. I didn't have my blanket. I didn't have a pillow. I had my hoodie, which I would hide in my hoodie in the backseat of my car. And back then, like, the depression was bad and I felt like I had all my power taken from me. It was hard for me to move, like to just will my body to do normal things and like have mind and body coherence. I had to like float above my body and pilot myself like a marionette. That's a brain injury where I'm just locked out, and I had to learn through life how to get back in like this. So I'm sleeping in the back sub-zero, and my car battery dies, and I have to wait for a kind soul to come around and be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I need a jump start." And then he'd jump my car, and I'd DoorDash for as long as I could. I'd make just enough to go to Hogback Mountain, which is 20 miles up a mountain, and I would sleep at the rest area up there. And then I would let my car alternator charge by coasting down the hill during the day, spend like 40 cents on gas, DoorDash for $3, put the $3 in, DoorDash for $3, put $3 in, and at the end of the night, I would make just enough to get back to Hogback, and I'd go for 12 hours sometimes. My car was a gas guzzler. It had problems. But eventually I saved up enough and I got out of there. And I went across New England on this big trip, and everywhere I went, because I had a headlight out, the cops used that excuse to pull me over and try to find a reason. So now I have PTSD from the police. Like, all that had happened for the past few years, especially when they were coming for the noise complaints and trying to get into my apartment, to eventually breaking into my apartment, and that causing all that trauma of feeling powerless. And was that molestation? I don't know. Was that rape? I don't know. But to someone that's spiritual like this, an empath, especially one that has to, I don't let anything go, and it stays there until I can fix it. All these problems, I don't just let them go. I hold on to it all, and I try to solve everything in a way that helps people. Like, that permanently felt like for years, I just had that feeling stuck to me. And I think he knew that, and that's why he did it. I think he was trying to imprint that on the side of my head for years, and it happened. Every time I'm trying to talk to people, there's just a cop standing over me with his crotch in my face. Try to have a conversation when you feel that, and you feel like the world is out to get you, because everywhere you go, because I had the Timbs and the nice clothes and the nice car, everywhere I went, cops were ripping me out of the car. Businesses were calling the police and saying I'm a drug dealer because of this in the car. So I'm dealing with the most aggressive police you can imagine, like really trying to hurt me. And they think that I'm like a bad gang member, whatever, dealing drugs, have a gun in the car, and I'm like a scared kid trying to fight off the Matrix in order to function long enough to get back to the space that I felt like before it happened, so that I could continue making my song and make better decisions and be more charismatic and enjoy life like I did before the trauma, so I can function. All I'm trying to do is feel good enough to be better, to have better experiences and actually help people. And I'm just being attacked over and over again everywhere I go. So that happened for months. Ripped out of cars, walking through town with a DoorDash order, and a cop tackles me to the ground, searched illegally, and the cop says, "You fit a description," and then just walks away. Getting in fights with people that attack me. In Saranac Lake, they tried to jump me, and I beat them. I had a bunch of black and blues, but at one point I had both guys on the ground by their necks. And the police ripped me off them. And which didn't look good for me, because someone lied to the police. They had premeditated the whole thing. Somebody was already waiting. It's just something that they do in small towns. They have a way of weaponizing the police and abusing the process. So none of that helps. I'm trying to I have my music studio set up in the car, and I'm at public parks screaming at a microphone in my car, trying to make these songs still. And I really like these songs. I'm still trying. I'm still getting up every day. And now I just work with God a lot more about timing and the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. So at some point in the early process, during those police brutality, you'd call them police brutalities, during that, I messaged my mom, lashing out from the trauma and pain. Like, she is playing the victim card. She's exaggerating that, me saying I had to throw the cat and I have to leave. And I got attacked by the police, and she saw me become a victim of police brutality. She turned that into playing the victim And every day she was talking about how she's at wit's end because she has such a horrible son. Trying to get sympathy from it, especially probably from her father, who she has said for many years, she's probably watching, you've said that your specialty is manipulating grandpa for money. So how it looks to a normal person is that you're spinning a narrative for profit. You're blowing this up because that's the only thing that's happened to you in a decade. So you're making it a big deal when there was nothing at all that had happened. For money. At my expense. And I think I think at some point she had gotten competitive. She really wanted to have power and control over me. And that was her way of doing it after I had left the nest. After I was out of town. Now, the only time I'm seeing her is when she's trying to perpetuate the narrative that I'm somebody I'm not. She's filled it with her own projection, and she's attacking someone that isn't real. And trying to get my aunt, my grandfather, my father, my cousins. She's trying to get them all to believe something that isn't true. And they are. Now I have my mom and my entire family treating me like someone I'm not. Instead of just having a conversation, they're writing me off so they don't have to care. I became the black sheep for a narcissistic family, too afraid to battle their own addictions and take accountability. They used me as an excuse to send all of that negativity towards. So I would try to reach out and have conversations, and I met with punches. And they can't see what I'm going through. Even if I said it, if I just said, hey, today I got jumped, and I was just trying to make my song in DoorDash, and I got pulled over twice. They tried to get me, and I made it through. It was really hard to focus. I'm trying not to regress. I'm trying to stay in the right frame of mind. Somebody didn't like the way I dressed, and he attacked me, and I won. And I just wish that I could come home, but I don't want to be around you anymore, and that I can't function well enough to work at a job yet. That they wouldn't give a fuck at all. They would not give a fuck. They would do is it would go in, and then it would, like ChatGPT, filter to their own agenda, and then they would spew some shit back at me about themselves, which is what they've been doing my entire life. Is I say something, it goes in, well, think about it. So I'm surviving and overcoming these horrible challenges. I eventually said to my mom, you know, what you did to me was so bad, it makes me want to hurt you. I feel like I need to hurt you because I wanted her to understand how it feels. I didn't say I'm going to come hurt you. It was more like pleading, you know? And I said, if it was a zombie apocalypse and you showed up, I'd kill you. That was my way of, like, there's an ego narcissist trying to project her control over me in some stupid competition with something that isn't real. But I'm an empath. It's the narcissist empath. So I feel it. And it's hard not to get roped into that. So I was trying to say something just to get her to fuck off. If it was a zombie apocalypse, I'd kill you if you showed up. And what you did to me was so wrong, it makes me want to hurt you. I should have said, and I don't like that, but that would have given her an in to try to sympathize and reweave to avoid accountability. So that was my fuck you goodbye. My mom calls the police. I get disturbing the peace by phone, criminal threatening, and my mom blows it way out of proportion, files a restraining order. That if I got in contact with my mother now, I would go to prison. I'd go to jail, I'd get charged, it might be a felony if I just answer a text message. So my mom stayed in contact that entire time with that restraining order that said that if I respond, I go to prison. So she would reach out to me 3 or 4 times a month. She would have my aunt reach out to me 3 or 4 times a month. She was trying to stay playing pretend that she was a mother and try to hold that control over me. And if I responded, whenever she felt like it, she would call and say, Casey called. And I would be trying to survive out in the cold, violent out there, trying to get my needs met and make my dreams come true and build relationships and build friendships and have a life and be a functioning person with such a dysfunctional, chaotic place I was in. And then occasionally the cops would show up and jump me because they got an excuse because my mom messaged me and I responded. I thought we were cool. And then whenever she felt like it, she would just sick the dogs on me. And I would be attacked violently and I would go to jail. I would be on the phone with my mother. The police are here. I'm on the phone with my mom, which is illegal, to try to have her explain to them what's happening. And the cops didn't charge me for it. Like, obviously there's something more to this. These fucking bugs, bro. So I went to jail. At that point, it was 2022 in November, and I had been to jail 1, 2, 3, 4 times now. From February 2022 to November 2022, I had already been to county jail 4 times. 3 of those times were for my mom, who had never broken contact, occasionally when she felt like it, calling the police to throw me in jail. Which adds up. All of those are possible felonies. I don't know if you heard of entrapment, but that's also a felony. That's coercing somebody into committing a crime. Like messaging them knowing that if he responds, he's going to get arrested. Sending him money. Pretend, like trying to care, and then a week later, using it against him to throw him in prison. Where people will jump you, rape you. Especially the cops do it more than the prisoners do it. I got felt up around my junk by male cops way more than any other sexual instance of guys trying to get me in the woods or like jerk off next to my car. Like I wake up and there's a guy with his dick out in front of my car jerking off to me sleeping. A lot more cops did it, and I think it's for spiritual reasons. I think that they were trying to take my power from me. That's what it felt like. They were trying to take my light from me. Like they used to do to indigenous children. So that kept happening. It's possibly still happening. I'll never know when she's going to break and the narcissist will take over. She's tried many times. So other than that, no charges in Burlington. I performed at Oakledge. I walked into trap houses and there were children overdosing and we carried the children out. Sometimes one got pushed out of a window, like a 4-story window. I was in a shelter program. My car was stolen. I was living at Walmart. They gave me 48 hours to tow it. I'm on the bus to the tow company thinking I have 2 days to get my car towed, so I was going to negotiate with them and give them some money, and they had already stolen my car, and they lied about it for a month, and then after a month they said, yeah, we do have it, and you owe us $3,000 now. So I lost my car, my music studio, all my memories, my sentimental items. I had a JBL party box for $250. I had childhood mementos. I lost everything, and I went into the King Street shelter and I got in fights. There were kids overdosing I had to save that were 17. I brought kids to the gym and to CVOEO. Like at the lowest part of my life, I was sick. I was still helping people, like sacrificing myself for others, because I knew that I'm here for a reason. So I'm trying to help people and I'm trying to make my dreams come true, and I'm seeing how God is working. So I mean, the coolest part is that they put on Irish music, and they all got up and danced because I had the crown, and they called me the king of King Street. And I took them all to the beach and stuff, and I brought them to the skate park to show them, like, hey, don't end up like what I did, eating out of dumpsters. Go right to the other kids your age, and get us. And I told them, like, if you get a skateboard, you can do all these tricks, and look at all the girls. Meanwhile, those guys will have no idea how many people I had fought off at that point. They don't know I'm a survivor. They just think that I'm nuts. But I did help a lot of people. Then a guy showed up named Christian, who had a Native American poncho, but he said he was a Viking that killed me 1,000 years ago. And he just was really disrespectful, and I lost it on him, and I was like, he kept saying, shut the fuck up every time I spoke. So I said, say it again. And he tried, and then I put my fist on his Adam's apple and just choked him. And he's like, ah! And I'm pushing his Adam's apple into his throat. So I didn't get charged. I got charged for bumping somebody in the hallway. I didn't get charged for that. I actually got arrested because of something of my mother. So I still had to go to court. I still had to get charged and go to jail. But it was because I answered a text message once, and she called. So I moved to a tent. I got sick with food poisoning, eating out of the dumpsters. I'm eating like the food that the rich kids leave behind at the skate park. I'm making my music. I'm sneaking into the boat launch area, and I'm sneaking into the bathroom for the rich people at the boat docks. And I'm making my music in the bathroom with my headphones, trying to make my songs. And I made a bunch of songs I'm really proud of, like Millionaire, Chloe. If you end up in someone else's passenger seat, make sure you teach him how to drive like me. And if I'm still gone, somewhere far out of reach, and you can't get to me, let my music guide you home, home, home. And a huge crescendo, and it switches from dance hall to folk. And it's Chloe Hall, get it through your skull. The only way, every time I gave you everything, you gave it all to losers down the road. The only way we'd start a family is if I could leave them all at home and hit the road. If I could go back, I would tell that boy to leave that girl alone. And other stuff. And it's really cool. And I sampled a bunch of really cool stuff, and it sounds like something you've never heard before, but the music theory is really good on it. So it sounds, your brain is used to it, and it feels amazing, the way that you would feel like a symphony orchestra of violins with dance hall, but it's made from like sampled vocals that I pitched and then changed and mixed, so it sounds like an instrument you've never heard and you'll never hear anywhere else. Leading that with a bunch of other stuff, and I really encapsulated how it felt to be in the year of the water cat, in the Taurus to Gemini cusp, by the lake, in the forest, that density. When you listen to it and put your headphones in, it takes you there, and you can feel something you've never felt before. And then I have on that amazing song a big, amazing diss to my ex that would have drove her to cry because of perfect timing. And I'm trying to make that. Got food poisoning. Didn't have a way. It was freezing. So if I wanted to wash my feet, I would freeze to death. They would freeze off. It's winter. But I'm walking every day. So I have a rash on my feet. I've got gangrene. I don't know if it's gangrene, but it was like green, dead skin, gross. I had to peel my sock off because I had been going for like 6 months, nonstop. No, couldn't afford other socks. So it was too cold to pull them off, and I had to walk and sweaty. the Tim boots had been so broken down that literally, like, it just hurt to walk in them. But I was walking a mile from there all the way up this big hill to try to reason with the slumlords who had stolen my car, just to have them make an example out of me and laugh at me and kick me out. And it was because of my skin color. The slumlords were like Italian Mexican, and they had a bunch of black people in there. So I would go in as like an animal, like probably realer than they've ever been, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I bet I suffered more injustice than they had at that point. And I doubt they've ever had to fight for their life. Not in Vermont. So I had a bunch of people practicing being hood to an animal and like kicking the raccoon out. And I had to walk back, and I couldn't find lawyers, and there was no one I could speak to that would see me for who I was. They would just project. They'd see my eyes and my sunken face and my scared vibe, and they'd assume I was on drugs and not I'm an animal that had to fight people to survive, and I have nobody, and I've been alone my whole life, and I'm barely functioning, and I'm trying, and it's so hard to hold on to who I was before, but I'm pushing through, and I'm not letting go of who I know I am and what I can do and who I can be. What they saw, who knows what they saw? Who knows what you see? So, got kicked out of the shelter for the fight, got kicked out. I'm at the skate park. Rich kids are taking their shit out on me. I got into more fights, more homeless people attacked me. I started dating. I met this girl, and she liked how I looked, and my energy brought me into her house. She was a yoga instructor. We hooked up. But I would just get bitter and angry. I don't know why. There was something I didn't like about it. I felt like sex was stealing my energy, and I didn't know how to focus, and I was just going through a lot. My wires were still crossed, so I was kind of mad at her because I felt like I was losing myself through sex. Somehow I was like transferring energy I didn't want, and she felt that as well, and she kind of liked that, like some women empowerment, especially back in 2022. Kind of like that stuff. Like a girl I had a crush on made an Instagram post. Like, and I was involved with her for a little bit. She made a post of her like with like blood in like a costume, and she put boy eater with a little devil emoji. And like that's how a lot of people were like that. So she was kind of like that. I met a couple girls that were like that felt like they take energy from the guy. And I don't know if it's real or not, but that's how they felt. So I think it's real. Sexual transmutation. And if I wasn't aware of what was happening, I didn't know how to hold on to myself. I was learning, you know? It'd probably be better now. But I leave. It's summertime now. I started making my songs every day. I got a bike, riding it around. I go and talk to a bunch of people. I'm like, I know if I just keep meeting people, God's going to keep giving me opportunities, and this is part of my path. It's part of my destiny. If I just keep persevering and keep going, I'm going to make something happen, and I'm going to get back to that position that I know I am, and people will respect me and see my worth because of my skills and what I've suffered and overcome, and I'm going to become a better man, and that makes me happy that I'm going through this because I'm learning. And I love fighting now. I love walking through the scary environments and everybody doesn't know how to act and they're all paranoid and crazy. And I love being this beaming fireball of charisma and going to be like, what's up? How you doing? And I like practicing different characters and going to different towns. I liked it. And I like going back to retreat in my car, hide in the Sub-Zero. And now I know how to warm myself up. So I'm pushing the cold back and making my songs, and I'm watching funny videos and eating what I hunted. I'm going out and hunting for food and hunting for these opportunities, and I'm getting it, and I'm enjoying my spoils in my protected car in the parking lot with Wi-Fi. And then when crackheads come, I just kick the door out with my machete and I whack a tree down with my machete so they run when they try to get me. I liked it, and I learned to love it. So I keep going. Save more kids. Help community action workers understand how to operate with this grounded sense of confidence, and especially in Burlington where they're all kind of leftist, whatever. I help them learn to be okay with talking like this and acting like this. Grounded masculinity, where you don't expect anything from anyone. You don't care what anyone thinks, and you're here to have a good time. So you have that creative freedom now to make whatever you want, and there's no one way things have to go. I wanted to be a social dating coach. I wanted to be a self-help guy in my empire of all these things I'm doing, like music and eco villages and save. I had every single person in my life I saw as like a folder or like a game where they have problems that I'm going to solve, and all of these problems are going to go together, and I just add them all together, and then eventually the solution will present itself, and I'm going to go the distance and do the most perfect thing and forget who cares about who I am. What I do will be so great that it's going to save everybody, and all of their problems and all this drama and what I thought was the literal Antichrist, these demonic things that were literally attacking me, this negativity that was taking over my family and everyone that I love, and I lost them. And I would look at their Facebook and they're like gone, and I still have it. I'm holding on to it, what everyone else had lost. So I'm like grinning and bearing it and trying to get through to this, and I'm making progress. And then all of a sudden, my mom is on Facebook trying to get more people to believe I'm bad. My aunt is lashing out at me. My cousin is lashing out at me. They are violently messaging me on Facebook. How you doing, bud? Bam. Passive aggressive. I'm trying to talk to my aunt about random stuff, and she's trying to hit me with just the shit, garbage. She's trying to punch me emotionally. And I've found perfection in suffering. So I'm trying to be an example and be loving, but I'm just one guy, and I was much younger then. But I powered through because I want to save people. I would talk to my cousin on Instagram every night. For hours we would talk about art and what we were creating and life experience, and just share insights and wisdom and hang out as I'm trying to, and I got a job. For that Christmas, nobody called me on Thanksgiving. I got arrested on Thanksgiving for my mom. And it was because some guy came at me in the grocery store. I'm Instacarting 3 different people's Thanksgiving dinners. I've loaded the huge cart up. The manager comes out and goes, "Is this your shit?" And I just deflect him, and he follows me through the whole store. He makes a huge deal out of it at the aisle. He like gets so mad about trying to dominate the space that he pushes one guy out of the way, goes behind a high schooler girl's back, looks over this and is like watching her do this at the register and looking up at me. And he to me, he looks like Randall from Monsters, Inc. He's possessed by a reptilian. That's how it felt. He calls the police on me. I was completely respectful and fine. The cop shows up, demands my ID, you know, like you've seen in every police brutality video. I try to leave. They get my license plate number, and they throw me on the ground and arrest me, and I go to jail for the weekend. That was 2022, my fault. That Christmas of 2022, my family got me a portable toilet for Christmas. Ha, you're homeless. So next year, then my car got stolen. Then it's the summertime. I'm riding my bike around. I'm enjoying life. But still like very violent, very bad, prejudice everywhere. Kicked out of the shelter program, probably because of how I looked and a character that isn't real or congruent to who I am. Alone, but fighting and making friends with community action people who are scared and are dealing with things they've never had to deal with before. In 2022, there was 800 homeless people. In 2023, there was 3,000 homeless people. Now there's about 5,000 homeless people in that city. And there's like 45,000 people, and 5,000 of them are homeless in a small city. It's like a 4-street city. And they're all on the beach, like killing each other. So they don't know what to do. But I just went through a master class on how to survive chaotic environments. So I'm inspiring them. I'm helping them feel free. I'm helping them break free from their problems. They're going on to be charismatic. Girls are liking them because it's my energy. I embodied the Ding fire in Bazi, my flame that I created reflects and radiates 33 Life Path. And that was what I wanted to do, was go to all these different places and help people, because I knew I had something that they didn't, because I was smart and I held it and I grinned and bared it and I never let it go. I didn't lose myself like everyone else did. My inner child is still here. He loves it when I eat pizza and I sit alone in my tent and hide in my den. And if I rest long enough, this fake growing up falls away, and then I'm really in tune with God. And other people don't know how to do that. And I walk in and talk to them and it frees them. So I kept going. I made songs. I made amazing songs. A guy showed up and he said he'd made this famous Hollywood film, and a bunch of high schoolers showed up and they had a party, and I hung out with a film director that worked with John Travolta and Mark Wahlberg and Matt Damon and a bunch of these people, and we're just hanging out. He said he left the film industry and traveled, spent all his money on gambling and drugs, and now he's just homeless traveling, living off the royalties of the film. And he got to show me, what it was like for him, and I got to show him what I was like, and the girls were there, and it was cool. And then he leaves, and then another guy shows up, and he's just like fighting off mosquitoes, and he's not comfortable in his own skin, and he's like struggling at this public park. He has a whole fire going, which he's going to get arrested for. He's like in his 50s, I think. So I'm standing there. At that point, I'm walking around public parks, and I have a machete at my side because I had been attacked. I have a bat in my backpack. I've got a Walmart gray throw blanket I've sewed together like a Game of Thrones cloak. I've got my hat, which is a snapback with a crown on it, and my name embroidered in the side. I've got that. I've got this big golden and black coat with a bunch of birds on it, and black and gold Timbs and black jeans. So I'm walking around with a golden and black bat, a green machete, and I'm in the suit of armor, and I walk around the public parks making sure everybody's okay. Nobody's going to come and rape these girls. Nobody's going to come and shoot anybody. When you have the party, there's not going to be any pedos. When the cops come, I've already told everybody, go around the back way, go there and wait, and I will deal with the cops, and then I'll tell you when to come out. I'm going to be here. Like the signal fire. My name means vigilant and brave. And it means a tree. The ancient, immortal, incorruptible tree of life. The oldest name in existence, Casey. According to the Freemasons. It's the most powerful name. Which is cool. But this guy who's having trouble, so I walk in with my suit of armor, whatever, and I'm like, hey, you good, bro? And I can tell he doesn't have any grasp on anything. He's like a little lost lamb, lost puppy. And he's obviously going to get in trouble for what he's doing. And he's going to get all of us in trouble if he keeps that fire. But I'm like, we're going to let it slide. Let's just get a feel. So he tells me, the first thing he says is like, I made this movie, Incident at Montauk, and I have a lot of money, but my home situation, I'm choosing to go into van life. And I could tell the guy was like a weirdo. He had a creepy aura to him, but he kept telling me how much money he had. And I'm like, okay, God has put a situation here. I have the answers he's looking for. He's alone. Maybe I can set an example. I can't kick this guy out. He's a film director, and I'm trying to make a music video. My dreams are all about film. I had messed up with that Hollywood guy, and he left, disappeared. Maybe this guy will be my second chance. So I hang out with him. He hears my songs. He believes in me. He gives me $400. I spend it on clothes, cigarettes, gas, a bike, get my needs met. He takes me down to Brattleboro to see my family, because I wanted to show him, you shouldn't start off in Burlington. Burlington's a level 2, at least, like bare minimum level 2. Like I would go at level 4, to be honest. Now you got to be like level 7 to go to Burlington now. You're not gonna do well here as level 0, bro. Let's go to Brattleboro. where obviously the guy's gay. He's talking to me gay. He's letting himself slip, and he gets into that evil whatever, and I don't like it. But I'm like, maybe my purpose is to grin and bear it. No Diddy. I'm not trying to get anything like I'm not gonna like Diddy myself for this money, but I'll be around this guy. It was one of the worst mistakes of my life, hanging out with that dude for the same reason that that cop's imprinted. It felt like that guy I had to it took a while to let him go because I hold on to everything so much. But I go down to see my family. I'm like, it's been years. I know my family's crazy and they're going to make things up in isolation. But if I'm there with them, I have a better opportunity to give them a good memory. Because I'm like, I could die. At this point, I've almost died 10 times. I've had to fight for my life. And I know it's only going to get worse. So I killed 3 birds with 1 stone. He gave me all this money. I'm going to take him to Brattleboro where he can be himself with the LGBTQ community. Let him roam. It'll be safer there for him. It'll be fine. I can see my family and I can see John Michael, who was getting worse. His schizophrenia, which was, I think if I just had him at my side, things would have been a lot better. But I'm trying to go see these people. I go down there. I see John Michael first. John Michael is just full-blown narcissist. The enemy got him. He got possessed by Brattleboro's sickness. He had a narcissistic mom. He was only hanging out with people that smoke crack, who were talented musicians, and he's a talented musician. So he was smoking crack. He wasn't doing well. It had sort of taken him. So I played him when I had left, he didn't think I was good at music. He thought that I hadn't gotten to this level of artistry because I was struggling to think. I could see it, but I couldn't make it. You know what I'm saying? It took a lot of work, but I did it. And I had songs that were better than his, in my opinion. Not like Full Circle. At this point, I don't want to compare them, but separately, I felt like I was at the same level or higher in my own personal artistry, not in any competition with his. I had gotten it for myself. I finally got there. So I got to play him my songs, and I got to sing. And then I left to go see my cousin, because it's John, Michael, and Jesse. That's all I cared about. Can I at least give them this special stuff and like have these special moments with these very creative artists that would appreciate it? John Michael couldn't see me. He couldn't break free. So we went to my aunt's house, went to see my mom. We all hung out, which is illegal. She didn't care. So we went to see my family. They continued to perpetuate the idea that there's something wrong with me. They ignored me. They didn't care about what I've been through. I don't think they hugged me. They don't care. But they really cared about keeping their image going and putting on a show for this guy. So that guy that I kept there to see, he was even though there was things wrong with him, he was still an artist and a creator. So I wanted him to see how special and different my family was. And I wanted him to see how I talked to girls. So I brought him to a Taco Bell so he could see how I talked to girls through the drive-thru. Because he told me he didn't want to be gay anymore. He said he said he's 50 and he wants to spend the next 50 with girls. But I'm like, he's so far from girls. So I went to Taco Bell and I had a conversation with a girl and I made her laugh and I hit on her. She giggled. He saw the fire and it inspired him, and I knew he had downloaded it, whatever. He had understood what I was trying to teach. So I felt like I at least got my money's worth. He gave me $400. I changed his life forever. I did pickup artistry for years. I wanted to be a dating coach. I know how to make a perfect moment that can teach. I'm a master teacher, 33 Life Path. So I did that. But my parents, who don't care about what I've been through and they don't see me as a human being, they can't, because that would force them to reflect. So they have to project. Are putting on a show for this guy. That guy ate it all up. He loved it. He went with it and then started telling me what to do. He joined in. Oh, we're allowed to shit on Casey and act like we're better than him and above him, and he's nothing. So he got up and ordered me into the car. Okay, it's time to go. Because he started to play the narcissism. Oh, we're just taking care of a sick kid. Not that that guy was trying to learn from me, which is what the situation was. He was trying to help me because he believed in my art. But really, he had said many different times, talking about my energy. And that he wanted to take it for himself. And he also told me that he had raped children. When you hang out with Casey long enough, for some reason, people just spew their darkest secrets at me. I will be sitting here doing my own thing like this, trying to make my songs, and then people will tell me, you know, I molested my cousin when I was 4. Or when I was 7 and she was 4, I molested my cousin. That's what people say to me. People will say to me, hey, I raped 3 kids. I worked as like a camp counselor, and I groomed and raped 12-year-olds 3 times, is what that guy told me. And he said it was okay because one of them was already sleeping with old guys. He was gay as a 12-year-old. So my parents picked a pedophile over me. For why? This is how I talk. Nothing's changed except I'm faster. It just used to take me a long time to think because I wanted to make it perfect. I saw life as like a song, and every single moment of my life is a performance. And if I don't perform correctly, the song will go in the wrong direction. So I have to make sure everything is right, and the world is so chaotic. I had to make sure all of this was going on, and I'm trying to intellectually understand and make things better, and I'm trying to understand empathy at a greater level and a deeper level and spirituality. I'm trying to grow. And I have a brain injury, so it's harder for me to build Legos and put something together to contribute. You know, life was much different back then. So they ignored me. They spent the whole time talking to that guy. He brought me back. He started saying he was a black magician. He started saying, I'm writing a story about this guy who's a necromancer that steals the energy of gifted kids. He buys a guitar with his money because he's rich. He sits next to me while I'm trying to make music and is playing the guitar, getting high, and looking at me out the window like this. Like he's in spirit trying to learn how to siphon energy. And he's telling me that's what he's doing. So finally, I'm like, this guy's a nut job. So I take my hammer and I'm like, if you don't leave, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you, bro. And he's like, I have a gun. I'm like, you're not going to reach it before I get you. It's better to just get out of here. You're going to miss and I'm going to kill you. That was the subtext. But he picked up on it really quickly when I said, hey, it's time for you to get out of here. Because he was talking about how he can't wait to see the high school parties. So he's about to take off, and I play like I'm going to take that hammer and slam his taillight out, and he takes off, and I call the cops and say, hey, this guy gave me $400. Then he told me he's a pedophile. He talks about the kids. I don't know what to do. I want this guy gone. If he's still here, I want a restraining order. I don't want him here anymore. I don't feel safe with him, and no one should feel safe with him in this area. I want to let you know that that's what he's like. And the cop just gave me a bunch of shit like, oh yeah, now after he gave you the money, now you're talking about it? And I was like, it is what it is. You know, you don't know my life. So what? You would do it too. You're way more corrupt than you're playing at. I fought somebody in the bus that pulled a knife on a woman, and I floored him, and he tried to come at me with the knife, and I floored him again, and the cops took his side and questioned me about what gangs I'm affiliated with, trying to intimidate me. That cop was a piece of garbage. So he leaves. Then it's the Lionsgate portal, 8-8. Still felt like my energy got stolen and drained. I'm still struggling. I'm much worse, but I played my music. I performed to hundreds of kids at a party. I did Kill 'Em. I know you folk with these Burlington rappers. King Kehasa, the tree they branch off of. I think they all lost and got no sauce, bruh. A bunch of bots. Maybe that's why God sent me here and he dropped me off. Because when they came for my heart and I swung back harder, I evolved! My dad sits in the garden with both of his cats. I go to town with a gun on my sack. I don't think y'all know nothing about that. You all don't know jack. This is that new Return of the Mac. I go to war like a colonel from Brat. Polar bears don't do good in the pack. Kids downtown are hooked on crack. All of my exes think that I'm jealous. I ain't impressing you fucking a dork. You won't see me fucking a fat bitch. All it says to stay away from a pork. This was brick and mortar, ain't no Rick and Morty. All the kids I put on fell off dead like in a wanted abortion. This ain't a hobby or chore. This was a war. I struggled and suffered for it. Slept on the ground for 4 winters. Ate from a dumpster fucking on whores just to get warm. Now I'm fucking on somebody foreign and somebody foreign. I'm fucking on somebody foreign and somebody's foreign. I made it so euphoric she met the Lord. I got people begging me to do porn. If I did, I'd charge $1 million for it. I ain't lying. I'm a giant Irish lion. Diagnosed with oppositional defiance. One day y'all gonna see me on the Forbes. I'm embedded in your minds like vinyl. Everything I spit is final. Bottom line, like I wrote my signature. I go out to public parks just to make those demons knock it off. I won't turn my shit down for you, bitch. You are not the boss. Oh, you got a boo-boo, little bitch? Go and walk it off. Every time they cut me down, I came back with a Molotov. Boy, I'm like thunder, wait for the roar. There's nowhere to hide. I'm the king of the north. My whole team is ready for war, though we know that we're special and can't like to settle the score. We drew up our fiery swords, we're coming to come gun down all of you dorks. You can never get my glory. I'm a dorm and a doormat. You're doormat and annoying. Get the fuck out my flat foyer. And then I looked to all the girls because they were like getting really close to me because of the energy and they're on drugs. And I went, I just raw dogged my 5th bitch this morning like a Mormon. I got an assortment and they went, I got an assortment of shorties whose little brothers adore me. And then a bunch of the punk kids that had surrounded me like puffing the chest out. I said, go ask the Lord who you think's more important. And then some fat bitch turned my music off and was like, really, everybody got really mad. A bunch of, like, tons of kids were celebrating and a bunch of stupid, dumb, skinny, fat losers with their head down were like, it's all right. It wasn't great. Girls wanted my number. And I'm like, you're in high school. I don't care if you're 17. I ain't doing it. Thank you. I love you all. Goodbye. I'm homeless. I'll be here all week. And then I look up and there's a schizophrenic man on his knees, 40-year-old schizophrenic man on his knees praying to me. You God, I'll teach. He wanted to join my army. He said that there were 2 junkies named Jessica and Sean, that are living in the back of his car and trying to get him to sell it to them for way less than it's worth. And they're using the car to go steal from Home Depot. And he's begging me, please help me out here. So I'm like, fuck it. I didn't sleep that night. It's August 9th. The whole day we took him to steal from Home Depot. I didn't know they were staying. They said, I'm going to go buy some nails for my campsite. And he comes out with this giant fucking thing. The people are chasing him. He's like, drive. And then he gets he kicks the guy out of the driver's seat and they drive. And I'm like, hadn't slept in 2 days. Like, oh, fuck. But eventually they go and they try to get the car from him. And I'm like, no. And then he's telling people, like, this is a guy God is watching this guy very closely. He's teaching me about humility and respect and empathy. And I'm just like talking to him and he's repeating the things that I told him to like everyone he sees. And we have to go, a dog gets hit by a car and we have to save a dog and bring it to the hospital. And he's like, has schizophrenia. He's getting on the ground to worship Allah in the parking lot of the vet. And I'm like, you're going to get the fucking cops called on us. Go in the grass at least. That's where you're going to get the connection. Get off the pavement. Go feel the earth. And he's like, yes, my Lord. And then goes in. And Eventually, we save the dog and we get the meth addicts to a tent, and they try to take the car, and I swerve at the very last second and get out of there. And then he wants to live at this mosque, and I go and make sure that's okay with the Muslim people that are from like Saudi. They're Middle Eastern people that speak Middle Eastern, and he's this small redhead, 4 foot tall, named Patrick. And I'm like, he seems committed. All he talked about was the Quran. He read me verses. He seems committed. I told him that he has to shut the fuck up and listen to you and be respectful of your culture. We talk about Muslim faith. They said that I sound like I'm from, they say I sound like I'm urban, is what they told me. So they have me call this gang member in the South. And we talked, and he's like, I really believe that Allah's the way. I wash myself the way they tell me to wash myself. I do the thing that they tell me to do, and it's helped me tremendously. So I believe that Allah is the way. If you want to follow it and you ever have questions, call me anytime. And I'm just like, well, how come you don't you ever get a response from nature? Don't you feel that the closer you get to God, the more enmeshed you feel with the entire universe, and it feels like you get cast into a song or a show, and then you commit to that, and the universe gives you blessings? And he had no idea what I was talking about. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a system. Maybe it's a system in place. And he couldn't really understand, but Muslim faith saved him. So I talk to him whatever I get. He gives me his car. He's like, I'm going to be homeless. I can't keep up with the insurance. I was going to give it to these junkies. I want you to have it. God is telling me that you need to have this. My dad's birthday is the next day, August 10th. It's right after I performed to these high schoolers during the Egyptian New Year, August 8th. So then the Quran people or whatever, I let him go. I make sure he's good. I make sure he's got the tent and everything. And I go back to see my dad on his birthday. I go down. I see my dad. We hug. It's great. I'm so happy to see my dad. I love my dad. We go to Walmart because he wants to buy me a new pair of jeans because my jeans are ripped to shreds, and I'm wearing shorts because the jeans are like opened up. We see my old friend, and my old friend just tries to talk shit about me in front of my dad. He just tries to down me, degrade me in front of my father on his birthday. And then he tries to leave. He's like, I got him, and now I'm going to walk away like with my head held high. He's a narcissist, delusional. So I follow him, and I'm having a full conversation like we're best friends, because we were best friends until he got a job, and now he thinks he's better than me because I don't have a job. He decided he was better than me, and he was going to treat me like that. So I follow him the whole way talking, and he's like trying to laugh it off. I win. He really thinks he beat me by disrespecting me in front of my father. So I'm trying to talk to him, whatever, and he's like, trying to laugh it off like he's blocking my energy. I'm like, oh, okay. And at the very end, I was like, oh, now that you blew up your Hollywood, huh? And he's like, and then walks into the back room and just fucking hides from me. So I just walk around. I talk to the girls, hit on the girls in front of my dad, so my dad knows, okay, he's got it. I flirt with the girl. She's blushed. She likes me. It's my dad's birthday. I try to go, and my dad also saw somebody come up to me and try to press me, and I put my arms down like this, and I think my dad felt that I had blocked a check, because I was dressed like I was hood, and there was in Brattleboro, right by Albany, there was a black dude with muscles and tattoos, looked over at me like, are you a poser? And he felt me, and he was like, oh shit, like the eye contact we made. And my dad saw that subconsciously, so I felt like at least I showed my dad I have this strength, and I've been through rites of passage, and hopefully at some point he'll realize that it's hard for me to get to that position I've been to, and that I've grown. Maybe he'll see me for what I've become after all these achievements. My character and what I've turned into going through my life. So I go to the front desk, and I'm like, hey, it's my dad's birthday. Can you please let me use the loudspeaker? And I wanted to go on the phone and say, hey, everybody, Can everybody please give a round of applause in celebration of my father's birthday? This man has conquered alcoholism, he has conquered police brutality, and he has been killing it in life lately. He's he's the best man I've met in my life, and I'm so proud to have him as a father. Can we please all give a round of applause in celebration that we're here and we're doing it? Something along those lines. Maybe not. I probably back then wouldn't have said police brutality, but just like said that my dad's made it through the trial, like like just something. I had much better wording back then because I was making music all the time, so I had something perfect to say that was respectful and not intrusive in his life. Nothing that he'd be embarrassed about. That would have gotten like a celebration from everybody. And she was like, no, they're going to fire me, whatever. I'm like, just give me the numbers. I'll say a guy that got fired last week. I'll say he did it. My other friend that got fired, I'll say he told me. But she was like, no. But my dad at least came over and heard me talking and knew that I was trying at least. So then we left, went back to my dad. We went to Memorial Park on this big hill, this big patio at a park that overlooks this big view. It's really nice up there. And I tell him about my albums and like what I'm doing and like his influence in my life. I named my album after a big part of his life. I named my album Sundance because I liked the name. I wanted a Sundance boat. I liked the concept of Sundance. I didn't know anything about indigenous culture, but later I found out the Sundance ritual is where you put bones in pain and you attach yourself to a pole and you walk in circles in a yurt until the sun is completely, permanently connected to you. And my life during that time making that album, I was going around Mount Mansfield suffering, trying to keep a connection to God. So I was doing the Sundance ritual, going around the mountain, Mount Mansfield, suffering, walking in circles in my life, in my mind, ruminating. But my dad worked at a ski resort where the main chairlift was Sundance, the Sundance Lodge. So that was a big part of my childhood, seeing that sometimes. I remember vividly seeing the Sundance at Mount Snow. So I told him that, and I felt how happy he was. And then we go back to his apartment, and I sleep, and I wake up, and I feel really drained. I felt like I did when I left Brattleboro, back when the demonic parasites were coming at me in my apartment. I felt like they came in the night, and I felt like they had taken it, and I felt like my dad had taken it. I saw he had this weird energy. He was kind of like on his computer, like he was on coke, and I know he doesn't do coke. I don't think he smoked crack, but when I hang out with people that smoke crack, that's how they act. So maybe it was demonic possession, negative energy. Maybe he did have a hit of crack. Maybe he's accustomed maybe from drugs in his past. I don't know. But that's how I felt. I felt like there was something off that night. He didn't seem right. But my first thought I felt from God was like, he told you that he took a loan from his neighbor for $2,000, gave somebody $1,000 for a $2,000 car, and the car broke down the first week. So I just thought that maybe it would be good, go sit and say like, hey, just making sure, are you going to spend some of that $2,000 to put the car in the shop to make sure that's not a dud and he didn't sell you a piece of shit? Don't get scammed, And he went, don't fucking tell me what to do. And then I got up to leave, and I was going to just leave. He gets up out of the chair, runs across the apartment, and slams me into the wall. If there was a nail sticking out, or like in the past, in his RV, there was a little clothes hanger, and he hit the brakes, and my cousin's head hit the clothes hanger, and it cut his head. So that could have hurt, pushing me full force into a wall. I have been through so many fights, I instinctively just went, bam, and got him in the eye. And then he's like, what the fuck? He's like processing. I go to leave. I'm like, I'm just going to leave. I go to walk out. I open the door. He runs out screaming, grabs my hair, throws himself on the ground. So I'm standing like this. He's holding onto my hair and trying to grab at me and then put his hands around my neck and he's trying to choke me to death. He's trying to kill me. my father, on his birthday, is trying to kill me. He's trying to choke me to death. My father at this point is he pushed me into a wall. I punched him in the face. I left. He grabs my hair, throws me down, and my father is trying to kill me. He's trying to choke me to death. I put my finger over his eyes, and I'm like, I'm gonna push until you let go. And I push. I don't want to pop his eyes or anything, but I push a good amount, like enough that hurt, just that pressure, and I did a little bit more than that. And he was not going to let go. He was going to go until he killed me. I screamed, I love you. Stop. So I took one of it, I put my hand on his finger, and I bent his finger back. He started crying. He got up, like, ran to my mom's house, who lives in the apartment building across the street in Section 8. My mom has been lying to the police for 2 years at that point. So I go and I call the police and I say, hey, sorry to bother you, but my mom's going to call you and she's going to lie. And I'm just letting you know beforehand so you can talk to me and get the real story. I'm not lying to you. I swear to God, I just have parents with mental health issues. And this has happened many times, and I'm sure you're familiar with us. I'm sorry to do this, but please come get my stuff and work with me and don't hurt me or fully believe them. So, of course, they lied. There's no evidence, but they lied. I told the truth. I didn't want to press charges. I think my dad was afraid I was going to press charges, so he lied to protect himself. So he wouldn't go to jail. He wanted me to go to jail because I fucking told him what to do by saying, make sure your car is okay and you're not getting scammed. So my mom, at this point, you should know my mom, that's her fuel. That's what she loves to do. That's the only thing she does in life. That's the only thing my mom does. Think about what has my mom done the past 4 years. It's been gaslight me and lie, and then feel bad and send me money. And then gaslight me and lie, trying to destroy my life, control me. For a story that isn't real, and a character that doesn't exist, because my mom does not love me. She doesn't even know who I am. She will never. And as I'm getting older, I'm learning more about myself, so I know that I'm learning more about the way she saw me, but it's still wrong. So I get arrested. He gets arrested. We both got an assault charge. And I just left, and I kept going. I went back to Burlington. Occasionally, I'd run out of phone service, I'd miss court, and I'd get attacked by the police. I'd go back and try to find work, and it wouldn't work out. I'd DoorDash, continue making songs, visit new places, meet new people, continue helping people, continue working with homeless community action programs to do better at their job. We did training, basically. And I showed them how they could improve their stuff that would help me. Fuck you, whoever took the like away. Thanks. No hard feelings. Winter comes along. I survived the winter. I spent on my birthday. I drove in November before it snowed. I got my car stuck in the mud in a field I used to hide in August. So August came around. I drove my car into this field to wait for DoorDash orders away from the Matrix where people aren't going to bother me. Because everyone was crazy. Vermont people are nuts. They all have anxiety. They all have no groundedness. They're all paranoid. They're all violent. They're all when you see these videos of Karens, half the population of Burlington is a Karen. And the other half is very alcoholic, fat rednecks that don't have fishing places. They live in the woods and they work full time. So they're not like the cool guys in Florida. They're also just as fucking nuts. There's just not enough people, and that's led everybody down their own individuality into their delusion, and they all go into town and attack each other. And I'm right in the middle of it as like a punching bag. So I had to deal with a lot of that, plus homeless people, plus corrupt police, violence. But I'm surviving. I got a car. I'm door dashing. You know, I couldn't afford a registration, so sometimes cops will show up and scream at me. But I just keep going. The cops are yelling at me, giving me a hard time, trying to intimidate me. Power games, probably spiritual rituals that they're doing, like trying to scare me into helping their ego over me. I'm gonna smoke before the sun goes down. Mosquitoes are pretty bad. So, at the same time, I'm posting content on the internet. People are posting videos about me on TikTok, of me rapping and singing at the public parks and dancing around by myself. People at the college know me from Snapchat videos. I'm gaining a reputation. People like me. At first, they threw coffees at me in 2022, and they talk shit about me. One time, there's an ice rink. So in the middle of the summer, there's this big ice rink. In the ice rink in the summer when they practice, there's a bunch of ice and snow, like artificial snow, that gets kind of thrown at the AC. So in like July, there will be like this big thing of snow by the lake. So sometimes, there's just mosquitoes. Sometimes I would take some of that snow and hide it behind me because I saw these prank YouTube channels and I wanted to practice. I didn't have a camera or a way. I couldn't go live. I hadn't really done much of YouTube yet. So, and I had a bad phone, so I couldn't really do anything then. I had like a shitty broken phone. So I would take the snow and I'd go up to like college kids that are like hanging out with their families. And I'd be like, hey, man, because I know I look like a hood homeless guy. I had the tattoos and whatever and the snapback. I knew what I looked like, and I had lived with vice lords, whatever. I had lived with in Albany at nightclubs. So I didn't see it as I saw that as that's who I am now. I had lived that life for a long time. I didn't want to let go of what I learned. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, hey man, you want some snow? He's like, what? I'm like, I got the best snow in town. Right in front of his dad. I'm like, I got the best snow. You want some? He was like, not in front of my dad. And I'm like, you can't get snow anywhere this time of year. In July, there's no snow. You want? And he's like trying to get away from his dad to buy Coke from me. And his dad is like, what the fuck? What the hell? And then I pull out a ball of ice shavings that is snow from the ice rink. And he's like, bro. And I'm like, and I walk around and everyone talks so much shit, so mad at me. You fucking, I'm going to call the police. And then I pull out the snow and they're like, come on, bro. I healed them with my funny Irish. And so people knew me around town. I was building a reputation, but my car gets stuck in the mud so deep, and I spent a month trying to get a jack and jack it up out of the mud. That didn't work. I tried to tie a towel so the towel would catch on the mud, and it didn't. It was just completely, the car was pressed down and it was full extension, like a foot deep into the mud, and I'm not getting it out. So my car was stuck, couldn't push it. Nobody else, the mud was so bad, no truck is going to do it. Nobody's going out there to help me. So I'm stuck there. The Kelly Creative Collective had this big show. It was like a local kid my age who blew up, and his brand, the KCC, got signed to Interscope, and now he lives in New York, and he's putting on a fashion show in Vermont. And I had mud everywhere.
And I'm trying to go. I'm like, if I can get across town and get to that Hilton hotel where he has it rented for his event, I'm at least going to say a big fuck you to the kids that were my age that heard about me and stole my brand name. He trademarked the KCC as the KCC, the Kingdom of Creative Champions, was blowing up. His friends sent him the videos of me performing, and he trademarked my name as a fuck you. This is my town. So I wanted to show up to his fashion show covered in dirt. It's like the ultimate flex for a fashion show, and I'm covered in nature. Plus, they all play energy games, and I'm covered in mud. They all pretend to be hood, and I came from the mud. But my only ride is a guy named John Sanderson, who I met on Thanksgiving, who told me he was a Viking ancestry. His license plate says Yoink, and he told me he was there by God to steal my energy so that he could fuck single moms. People come up and say this to me so often that I can't believe that those aren't my spirit guides, and I'm in a test. It just happens so much where I ask for something and I get it. You know what I'm saying? So, he will not bring me. The only time he comes around is when I'm so full of energy from meditation and he comes to take it from me. And I feel him taking it from me, and then he cackles, and he takes off to go use my energy. So I don't go, which sucks. I stay there through the winter of 2023. From December to January, I was there in the freezing cold. I would walk to Shaw's and I would steal chicken. I'd steal the chicken that they were going to throw out, and I'd have fried chicken at night. I was trying to get a job at the gas station. They wouldn't hire me. I tried to get a job at Walmart. They wouldn't hire me. Everywhere I went, they wouldn't hire me, so I'm stuck there. I spend my birthday in the car in that field in the snow. Freezing. No blankets. Nothing. Chicken every couple days. I can eat. There's a girl named Alex at the vape shop that gave me free vapes and let me sit in the warmth sometimes to charge my phone. There's a schizophrenic kid he's 30, but he acts like he's 17. Schizophrenic guy who lives in a tent behind the gas station, and he works at the gas station. The cops gave him a 22 because he just asked for one, and they gave him one because they're like, he's a nice guy, whatever. He's got a job. The police station is right next door, so they all see him every day. They gave him a 22. He shoots at me with the 22. He shows up with a hatchet, says, hey, I have a spot in the woods that you're going to really like. Let me take you to it. And this will be a better place for your tent. And the police who I work with said it's a good spot for you. He takes me to the woods, he pulls the hatchet out, and he chops a tree down. Chops it to bits. And he goes, that's you. Trying to take my energy, scare me, steal my life force energy, and then say, fuck you, and leave me there. And he has the power and the energy. That's what he told me. It's not my schizophrenic delusion. It's the words that come out of their mouth. Because the world has gone spiritual. It's the Great Awakening. And that's what people do in this day and age. So I'm like, okay, I have to siege a castle, and I have to get these people that are trapped under a wizard spell to see the truth. And then I'm going to liberate everyone and get my respect by defeating this creature, this Viking, with the hatchet. So I go there every day, and everyone that steals my power goes insane, obviously. So that guy with the power he stole from scaring me in the woods and shooting at my car while I'm in there hiding from a gun, and the cops won't believe me and nobody will believe me, and coming at me with a hatchet and throwing shit at me, trying to get me in the freezing cold, and saying he's a wolf Viking spirit that's going to eat me, and I can feel it. I knew he was born in the year of the dragon. I knew he was born on the 11th, and I knew he was a Leo before he told me, because I could see him in spirit as this giant pit of dragons with wolf heads that were going out and attacking me while I'm trying to meditate. So I knew, and then I went, and the next time I saw him, I'm like, were you born in the year of the dragon? Yeah. Were you born? Yeah. I knew it. He's a Leo born on the 11th, like Joe Rogan, with some thing about wolves. Eventually, he snapped and he put a gun to his coworker's back to scare him because he wanted to infect him and rape his spirit and control his spine so that he could move his dragons through and control people. And he did. They got trapped in an illusion by a demonic parasite. But finally, I got enough people and I got him to break, and I broke through, and I at least got them to realize, at the very least, he's not anything that they thought he was. The problem was that power he had taken from me and was sharing with the manager and those people, they liked it. So they outcast me like my parents did after they did the same thing to me. Gaslight me, ostracize me, take my power from me, and then lie and hold it over me to farm me. They did it to me too. And then I had the guy the John Sanderson would sit there and shine his headlights at me, trying to rope my energy out in the darkness. And that really happened. Eventually, the local maintenance workers got together and brought a skid steer to push me out once the ice was frozen over enough. So in January, after Christmas, after the New Year, I spent my birthday, Christmas, and New Year out there doing all that. I finally left, and I drove until my car broke down in Randolph, here. And that's when I had to fight somebody to death with that guy's hatchet, and they told me I killed him. I didn't know how bad that I hit his ribs with the hatchet. I know he ran out screaming. I don't know he died or if he did or not. I know he's alive now, but back then, you know what I'm saying? So people, the whole town ostracized me because I beat somebody in a fight. They lied to the cops. One place lied and said I threatened to kill him with a hatchet, and I didn't even have a hatchet on me. So the cops came and they stole everything out of my car. People were jerking off next to me. They were getting out of their car in the winter, going to my car window with their dick out, and they were jerking off and staring at me through the window. People were overdosing next to me. Tons of stuff like that. Violence. Somebody said there's a picture going around the group chats from Randolph of some guy with a gun pointing a gun to my head through the window while I'm asleep. And that there was a hit out on me. So I walked into the woods and I found a cabin. When in 2022, I had drawn this picture of a castle for music videos, this keep that I wanted to make for my music videos for my animated TV show that I was writing. And exactly the way the inside of the keep looked was the exact way that this cabin was set up. So I found this cabin I had drawn unintentionally. So because of the police and the violence in the cabin, I started making this YouTube content. You can go back 1,600 videos, and that's where I started this channel. Then you can see a year's worth of prejudice. I got jumped, violence, I got ran off the road. They unscrewed the brakes on my bike and I crashed. Nobody would hire me. For 70 miles of just cops showing up and hurting me, being ostracized, no one will hire me, prejudice, beer cans thrown at me, cigarette butts, lying to the police, and I'm just struggling to survive, make my songs, and I'm just yelling at the camera. The whole time, eventually, trespass notice for a place I'd never been. I accidentally wander onto a place owned by the company and I don't realize it because the police took my car because it wasn't registered to me, because I couldn't afford to register it to me. So they stole my car from me as a fuck you for a lie someone told them. and their own personal prejudice. So then a hurricane and a tornado came, and I hid in a field, and that field was owned by a company that had trespassed me for looking like a junkie. So I got arrested, went to jail for a weekend, came out, my phone broke, couldn't afford service, missed court, didn't know about it, got arrested again, still couldn't get phone service, didn't have anywhere I could go to my court hearing, missed another court hearing. But I'm on my live streams, I talk to God on live and I ask for things like a bike, and then I get $1,000 bike and I go to a different town to fix it. And then you got the Morrisville saga with the soliciting trespasses and no one will hire me, and the prejudice and the cops following me and revving their engines and doing the creak of the loud creak of their brakes in my ear while I'm sitting on the sidewalk. They skirt and try to pop my eardrum with loud noises and just bother me, to them going into the woods and jumping me and pepper spraying my whole face, letting me choke on pepper spray in my lungs, and I can't breathe and I'm screaming and it's on camera. I have that all recorded of them joking about accidentally pouring grape soda in my eyes and I can't breathe. And then they put me in a painful wrist lock and I'm not resisting. They rip me out of the tent. I cut my head on the tent or on the pallet as they're ripping me out. I have to drown myself with the water 5 or 6 times because I can't breathe. And I spit. The spit doesn't hit him. He was standing here. I know I spit over here. The only way is if he like suddenly lunged forward and got hit. The intention wasn't to hit him. I couldn't see. He throws me into the steps of the ambulance on my back, 200 pounds of force, and he's choking me. And I'm going, your world is over, as he's choking me. He's like, no, your world is over. Because he spends 45 minutes washing my eyes like you should. The other people gave me 30 seconds. He gave me 45 minutes to get it out. The sheriff from Lemoyne County Sheriff's Department says to me, after I show them, like, they put my cuffs so tight, I'm bleeding. They tightened my cuffs so hard, I lost circulation to my hand and I'm bleeding. The nurse even told the cop, it's really tight. The cop tells me to my face he's going to lie. And that, what do you mean? And I was like, your body cam's not going to be added to discovery, is it? And he's like, nope. Then once he fixes my cuffs, he brings the other cop in with the body cam to show that my cuffs are fine. The cop tells me if I really was an indigenous sovereign citizen, I would have gotten a whole lot worse. Then I go to jail for the weekend. It was the worst jail experience of my life. I was sort of molested, but not completely. Like, I don't want to take from other victims. But they were horrible. But I survived. I get back. And then a week later, the cop shows up with a mental health worker. And they say if I don't answer what day of the week it is, they're going to haul me away for a long time. I didn't answer. He said, if you don't speak, I'm going to do what I did to you last time. Which was rip me out of the tent, choke me, spray pepper spray into my lungs so I can't breathe, and then joke about accidentally pouring soda in my lungs and forcing me to have to drown myself. I had to get water into my lungs. Get on my knees and have them stand over me like the first cop did, laughing at me, and pour water into my nose and my mouth and my eyes. So I said, I plead my Fifth Amendment. And the young cop that was in training next to him was like, what do we do? And he was like, I don't give a f. So they kept threatening me. The body cam footage for both of those incidents has been deleted. And they tried to trespass me from the police station so that I couldn't fill out a FOIA request to get the body cam footage while they were figuring out how to delete it. They stole from me. They stole things from my tent. They searched my tent illegally. He left his glasses and then he tried to charge me for theft for those glasses that he dropped illegally searching my tent. He was drunk. He was on drugs. The sergeant, he lied, and the entire police report was misspelled. There was like barely anything spelled correctly, and he lied multiple times. And I'm still going to court for it. Then, when they found out that I was pursuing legal action, they weaponized that mental health 2 other times. They blocked me in the McDonald's. They evacuated the McDonald's, and they tried to pretend like I was in a mental health crisis. And I outwitted them, and then I recorded them lying on the phone to try to have me hauled away so that it would look worse for me, so that they could try to get away by making my life hell and stressing me out. They were going to try to get away with what they did to me. And it didn't work. I played back a recording of them lying, and they left immediately. And then just more prejudice, more communal stuff. I had a 105 fever. I went into a motel program. I got assaulted. A woman hit me. The manager came into my room because my window was open because I was sick and I couldn't breathe. I was having, I don't know, it's an old motel. I liked the fresh air. I felt like it was healing me. And plus I felt like a caged animal. But she didn't like the window crack, so she came in, pushed me out of the way, panicked, closed the window, and then kicked me out because I had tissues in my trash. And I'm supposed to empty my trash every night. But I had a bunch of tissues in my trash, so she kicked me out in it was like negative 40 degrees. I carried 100 pounds on a wagon through a foot of snow onto the rail trail. I carried it 11 miles, sick. And I lived sick in Johnson for a month, and I made videos every day. You can see me sick with a 105-degree fever. And then eventually it was going to hit negative 60. And as a fuck you, some guy showed up and turned the power off, laughed at me, and left. And I almost froze to death. I had to panic. My fingers hurt. I remember my whole body hurt. And I shuffled over to the next outlet, set up my tent really quickly, and I hid until negative 60 turned down to negative 30. And then I hooked up my heater, and I survived. Barely. I was still trying to get a job. I was applying to places, and they were ignoring me. Finally, the select board kicked me out of town, and they sent the police after me, and the police brought me to the hilltop. And the guy tortured me. He targeted me. They came at me every night, screaming at me about me smoking cigarettes in the building. Everybody in the building was smoking cigarettes, but he had a problem with me. Every time I went to church, I thought that I was getting high and coming back. He thought I was selling drugs, and I wasn't. And he tortured me. He made my life hell. And I was learning how to not be an animal for my first time in like a stable environment. And just, you guys went through that. The garage saga. And then John Michael froze to death. He fell and hit his head and everybody celebrated. So I went to war with Planet Hank and his community. And we won. He stopped making content, changed his thing to compassion, changed his logo to green after my logo, because I kept giving him shit about him spray painting over the green heart of his logo. He changed his logo to green. We dethroned him. He became outcast. We exposed him for being a pedophile. He's a pedophile. He has child porn on his computer. And now his community is just trying to gaslight people into giving him money. He had a whole movement where they were paying him to make content propaganda of cops beating the homeless people up and then celebrating it. And they were innocent. And I exposed the police brutality and the illegal things they were doing every day. And the police stopped. They changed. I changed the whole town from my phone for 6 months. And we beat him for the most part. It was even at a point where my mom was sending him money just as a fuck you to me. And she was consistently trying to gaslight people into hating me, play the victim, to something that wasn't true. Because I was getting money on the internet. I think she was mad about my donation and the numbers on the internet. And that I held her accountable for her delusional life. And that she's just a pathetic piece of shit, pretending. Then I came back, and you've seen what happened since. I got the guitar that I wanted. I got the clothes that I wanted. I got to rest. I got to watch Marvel. Heather has been helping me out immensely through this whole thing. What's crazy is they're a hard-working family with their own business. They got a part-time job just to help support me. Working, I don't know, it's like 60 hours maybe altogether. And they have a family of 4 plus 2 dogs, and I don't know how many cats they have at this point. Brad, Haley, Hayden, and Ben. Plus their own property and their own family, and they still sent me $100 a week. They saved my life. I would have killed myself. Maybe I would have grinned and bared it and found a job somehow, and maybe I would have felt like, yeah, I got it on my own, but it was hard. And we have people like Christina, who would come into my chat and tell me she has 100 acres. She has her own farm. She bought a sawmill. And she makes $200,000 a year. Or she said she was well off. I looked up how much her job title usually makes, and it was $120,000 to $200,000 a year. We had Westy, who said he had $20,000 saved up that he's just not going to spend. And all I needed was like enough for a camera and a computer, at least. And then I could edit my videos, improve my YouTube shorts, reach a wider audience, and that would open up ways for me to get more money in donations and tarot cards and my instruments. At that point, I wanted to pull up and dip bar I eventually bought, and then maybe a car. I was like, if each of them just gave me 500 out of who knows how much money they have. Westy had 20K, $500. What's that, a week of work that would save my life? And he wouldn't. None of them would. I think they sent me $5. So I don't have hard feelings. But that happened. So I get kicked out of the hilltop because of the crow. I didn't kill that crow. Fuck whoever called. What did he say? Get off my dick. I think that's a hater. I think that's somebody I probably know personally. Oh, did he call me a faggot? That's Rowan. I guarantee that's Rowan because I told him to get off I told him GOMD. I bet you that's Rowan. Or maybe it's Nate, I don't know. I told the truth. Nate tried to grab a 15-year-old's breast because he'd never felt one in his life before. He said, I'd never had a big boob. I've never felt what a big boob is. So he tried to grope a 15-year-old girl in my house. And then he tried to meet up with her several times after that. So I just told it. I told my Facebook, and now he doesn't watch my content anymore. So I came back, and now I'm here. I was going to get a job, but then I got 4 shooting stars when I asked for them. So I'm not going to get the job. And I'm going to try something else. Following God. I followed God today and I made $30. Somebody gave me $30 today. Following God. And they gave me a better work opportunity. So that would pay a lot more for a lot less stress. So I have that going for me. And now I'm here. There's a bunch of mosquitoes. You don't have to retract your messages. I don't know what's going on, bro. You're good. He's like, that's sinful or something. So now we're here. I know there's going to be a bunch of mosquitoes, but I don't want to turn the flash on. Here, we'll walk around and smoke. Howdy. So now I'm here. I'm still going to court. My judge still talks crap about me, about my appearance. I go to speak and they kick me from the call. My lawyer was defending me and talking bad about, I can't believe they're doing this to you. At the end of it, she joined in. She joined them and they all laughed about it together. So I messaged her a bunch of hateful things about how unhappy I am with what she did, that she shouldn't be a lawyer. And her ego is completely taken over. She's now fighting me for dominance, playing power games. She can't see the truth. She can't accept the fact that she should have called me. She should have at least said, hey, I'm sorry you went through that. She won't, because she won't. It won't register, because then she'll have to feel the truth. That she should have gone to that courtroom and said what my other lawyer did, which was, the police did something really wrong, and this is a really good kid that doesn't deserve what he got. Thank you to the prosecution for the Orange County cases where I got trespassed because the cops stole my car maliciously, and I had to hide in a shed to survive a tornado and a flood, a hurricane and a tornado. And I was arrested for trespassing and for petty larceny from a place that had previously lied to the police. I don't really know if I stole that Charger. I think I paid for it. There was confusion because it wasn't the Charger I wanted, so I got a separate one. And then I realized I had a use for that other Charger, so I kept it. And I told them to keep it. But then I got charged for stealing that Charger. Or maybe later, sneakily, the manager refunded me and charged me larceny just to say, fuck you. And they saw me pay, so they couldn't say I didn't pay, so they only said I stole one. I don't know, but I know that woman has lied to the cops several times since about me being on their property when I have no reason to be. They say I go behind their building and just sit there. McDonald's, I can go to the church, I can go down to the high school. Why would I give myself that drama? But every time they saw me walking past, they would puff their chest out and go stand outside the door and just look at me. Like, fuck you, you can't come here, fucking junkie. And I just ignore them and keep going. And they'll call the police and lie. And my capstone worker has to say, no, he was with me. He was with me the whole time. I don't know what they're on about. And the state police are trying to get the capstone worker to... I see they try to get the community members to lie so they can charge me. Remember when I said I wanted a golf jacket that was like this velvet that I couldn't describe the texture? I found it at the thrift store today. Exactly what I wanted. The golf jacket that I wanted to make my merch out of. It's cool. Whatever this is, I need to find more of it. Because this is what I'm going to make my merch out of. this texture right here. This is what I've been waiting for my merch. I didn't want to make any Casey merch until I knew what this was, because this is what I want to. But it's gonna change. Life change. What's gonna be cool next year and what I want to make next year is gonna be different than what I want this year. But this is what I wanted for this year. So we have that. But the prosecution said, whatever happens in Lemoyne County with the police brutality and the resisting arrest and assault with bodily fluids, whatever they decide, you know, if they decide whatever, we're gonna drop the cases. Which is really cool on him, because he used to watch my channel, he used to watch my videos, and then we would go to the courtroom and he would just throw in these little, I think you should do something better with your life. And then the judge watches my content too. So the judge, after he knew I got waterboarded by the cops, and I was saying waterboarded, but really I meant drowned. Because he was like trying to say that waterboarding, like make fun of me for it. So he literally went drip, 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 drip. Clip that. In the courtroom. And I can just file to get the recording of that. You know what I'm saying? I can just file to get the recording. He still has an attitude. They're narcissists. They're still trapped in society, playing power games. So even though the next time I went to court and Casey's here, and the judge went, that's good, good. I'm glad he's here. And I felt like a little bit of light from him. It's still the false light. Because real humility, he would have said like, hey, Casey, I'm glad you're here. How have you been? How are things going? I don't see why the judge wouldn't just say, hey, what happened? Like, I watch Judge Fleischer, who's like the best judge on the internet right now. Like, everyone loves the people's champ of judges. And Judge Fleischer talks directly. He doesn't talk to the lawyer. He talks right to the... He's like, what happened? Oh, yeah, that's what... Okay. Well, are you sure? He talks to them. And he's good at what he does. And he blew up because of prejudice. He knows that cops are prejudiced. And he knows what they do. And he doesn't like it. So he dismisses those cases immediately. He can tell, okay, I can see what happened here. You're good. You're good. And he lets them go. He just says, don't come back. And I guarantee you they're so respectful and happy about that situation that they're never back there anyway. All my crime came from being beaten by society and feeling like it was my enemy. So I don't feel bad about like going into a supermarket and taking the expired meats, like the chicken that they're going to throw out. I didn't give a fuck about going in there and taking that stuff. It's $1 billion company. They can afford it. It's going in the trash anyway. But before I was respectful and I'd go in and be like, hey, I know you're going to throw it out. Do you mind if I have it instead? And they would go, get the fuck out of here, junkie, or I'll call the fucking cops. Get a fucking job. And I'm like, will you hire me? And they're like, get the fuck out. Call the cops. I'm trespassed. And all I said was like, I'm hungry. You know, at that point, like I probably hadn't eaten in days. And then magically I'd go back to my car and Heather had sent me money for McDonald's. So I'd go eat. You know what I'm saying? So at least I hope I made a change with the prosecution there. I have court on the 4th in Brattleboro for the things I talked about. I don't know the best way to say it. Like, I'm just going to talk. My lawyer has filed to remove herself when really I fired her. But she's making it a big deal. Like, you were mean to me and I am going to leave now. When really I was like, I don't want you working with me anymore. And I think you should quit. You should retire. I think you're too stressed out and overworked. I don't think you're good at your job anymore. I appreciate what you did, but at this point, you joined the opposition and you're a traitor. You know what they did to me was wrong. You know what they're doing to me is wrong, and you're not fighting for me. You're not defending the public. So you're gone. I can't afford a lawyer. I wish I could afford a lawyer. Maybe I should go talk to one. But I don't have any money. My cigarette went out. That's bright. So, other than that, I don't know what's next for me. I can still pee. It takes a while, and the crows, and I need to do better. I'm still making slow progress. I'll show you. I have all my laundry down here. So I can wash. Tomorrow's going to be hot. I'm going to wake up in the morning and put all my laundry here. Do all my laundry. And then that I have shelves now. I spent like a month collecting furniture and hauling it up that mountain. So I have a bunch of shelves up there now. I have a couple desks. I have a couch up there that I sleep on now. I have a better cot down here. So I'm making progress. And I'm just going to keep going with that. I have dreams to make the cabin better. I imagine how cool it's going to look when I finally get all the trash out the front. And maybe I'll carry some pallets up there, plywood, build a deck. Maybe I can insulate the inside with plywood and some insulation and just hammer it into the framework and build like a little alcove to hide in. And then next year I can start carrying a bunch of rocks, and maybe I'll build like stone walls around it and turn it into that castle keep that I imagined in my music videos. Here's my laundry over there. I'm just trying to find a place I can put my drink where the flies aren't going to get into it. So all of that, working on it, my arm, or I probably would have gone harder, and I would have. I'm gonna piss in the river. I started by saying, am I crazy? Because people think I'm nuts. After this conversation, does it seem like I need to go to a mental institution? Does it seem like I really need help? Or do you think maybe that my mom is constantly feeling like I need help because the help I need would be opportunities, support, not like a mental asylum, but like, hey, I'm proud of you. Good job. Hey, you need a power station? Let me mail it to you for a couple months so you can live stream every day because I see you're building something that's gaining traction. Let me make your life better. Maybe there's something in my mom that's screaming at her that she has the ability to help me and she won't. You know what I'm saying? But a beautiful black queen was attracted to me today. But I literally have a stinky bum. I'm a stinky bum with a stinky bum. and I smoke a lot of cigarettes, and I don't exercise. So I don't feel like hooking up with somebody. And every year around August, somebody wants to hook up with me, and I always feel drained. And in the past, one girl said she literally sacrificed my energy to a demon. She was one of the hottest girls I've been with, but she was fucking insane. But it turns out she's not insane at all. She just made bad choices. It was a real thing that was taking my energy. I felt it. I saw it. I knew what it was before she told me. And then they told me that they all are in their own little coven cult. And they made $600,000 in e-commerce listening to a demon that they were ritualistically sacrificing emotional energy to. A 16-year-old told me that. He said, I make money because I sacrifice energy to a demon named Mammon. And he blesses me with these opportunities. I would start to meditate. I was like, I'm not doing that shit. Meet the sword. Raise my vibration. And he would go and slam his hand on the table. He's a big dude. He was like 6'3", pro wrestler. Not sumo, you racist. Oh, I didn't tell you he was Asian, but he is Asian. And the other girl who was black and Cherokee, but both of her parents are white. And she really believed, no, her dad was in a biker gang, and I think her mom cheated. So they said that it was a recessive gene from her mother's mother, who was black. I was like, I hate to break it to you, but your mom's a hoe. And probably you're a blessing, because your dad probably sucks. He's in a biker gang. They own their recycling empire. When you see Myers Recycling, their family owns that. But either way, stuff like that happens, and it's real. So at the very end, like when I put it all together, I feel like I'm mentally ill. I feel like I'm a survivor. I feel like I'm persevered. I feel like I've got a good head on my shoulders. I feel like I've at least maintained some of what I lost, like what they tried to take from me. And I've learned a lot from it, and I've grown a lot from it, and I'm very proud of who I've become. I'm not a bullshitter, but I definitely have ADHD, and cigarettes kill your brain cells. Somebody that's very highly regarded in the health field in neuroscience went on the podcast Diary of a CEO, which is one of the biggest podcasts in the world. And she said that not taking omega-3s with the way that the world is with food and degeneracy, phone addiction, society not being productive, not building things, not using your mind actively, that not taking omega-3s at this point is degenerating your brain as much as smoking does. It's essential now. And they also said that people that use ChatGPT have shown like mental deterioration akin to hard drugs. It like stimulates your brain, and like it does things to your subconscious that makes your brain stop working, because you literally give your brain to ChatGPT to do it for you. People who chronically use it to think about their stuff. It's not healthy for you at all. It's like a drug. And I felt it. I thought it was demonic. So, it's two people here. That's my story. There's a lot more I left out. Like I went to a gas station once and some big fat guy in a truck tried to push me out of the way. And I said something and he's like, as like if I only had my gun, or like just some stupid quip that they use, like, yeah, keep talking, pussy, do something then. And then he left the gas station in Newport, and I went to ask. I was like, hey, do you mind if I'm sorry, I was supposed to DoorDash, and there's no DoorDash. He said, if you don't get the fuck out of here, I'm gonna call the cops. And I was like, you're a weak, insecure little man. And that live at Eagle Point, Rock Point. Maybe there might be baby eagles, but I don't think baby eagles stick together the way they do. And they sounded like ravens and not eagles. And one of them tried to fly at me, and then it hit an invisible wall, almost kind of broke its neck, and then flew sideways, like some force blocked it. All the spiritual stuff, like the initiation with Cernunnos in 2022 on Mount Mansfield with the mile marker and the UFOs, saving the porcupine before I left Brattleboro. The times where I felt like I DoorDashed and drove my way into like a separate pocket dimension, and everything got really fucking weird over and over again. Like reality just like phased out, and it was just me and some spirits. That was weird. I didn't talk about like the abuse I suffered in 2020 that led up to these 2022 arrests, or like my experiences with like the voodoo stuff in West Virginia that fucked me up, and the pastor, and the consistent psychological trauma to try to make me gay as I'm trying to fight to maintain my masculinity, because I felt like it was taken from me in an abusive relationship when I had a brain injury. To overpowering that and having some beautiful women for a while that casually told me that they sacrificed my energy to demonic entities. So I just couldn't win for a while, but it brought me here. So I think I'm doing a lot better than people assume. And I think I've made a much bigger impact on the state of Vermont than I realize. Especially the times when I would go on Phil Scott's Facebook and chew him out, and everyone, like the entire state of Vermont, saw it. And how active I am in community groups that everybody goes on. I think a lot of the crazy prejudiced losers hate me, and the needles in the haystack here really respect me. They think I'm funny. My cigarette keeps going out. So that's me. I'm gonna put this tarp out tomorrow. It's gonna be like 90 degrees tomorrow. So I'm either gonna have to go to the shade and hide, or I'm gonna have to take all this and move it into the woods tomorrow morning. I'm gonna have to survive the crow attacks, which don't stop. Psychological trauma is real. They're gonna try to take my power away from me. Every day I wake up from a beautiful dream, and the crows will show up, and they won't stop screaming until my emotions get killed, and I feel spiritually attacked, and I feel like it's hard to think, and I feel like they literally take it from me, and I'm left empty, lifeless, in pain and angry. And I can't sing. I can't control my mind or energy. And then I feel like the same thing it's just a demonic ritual. It feels like crows are instruments of the fallen angels, or at the very least, it's a test to teach me these skills as an initiation into something else. I'm much different than this. I tell people on the channel a lot, this is like just like a shell or a husk of what I really am. And it's gonna take a lot of work, and it takes a lot of work to really be who I know I am, which is much different and I sound much different. This is a product of a lot of trauma and a lot of fighting off. It feels like spiritual spell work. But I have an army of tarot readers that for every day they have, it's like they can look into my life, and I have actual spirit guides that me praise, and they tell them what I've been through. It's not like cookie cutter could apply to anybody. It's like very specific. Talking about like they pull the bear card and then the 33 card and then the big C, and they see a cabin in the woods and they tell me about what I did. Like there was somebody with me the whole time that tells them. And then the tarot readers cry because they feel what I felt. And then they tell me how proud of me they are and to keep going. And I get it like once a day. So I'm helping people across the world. So I'm going to lay down and watch some TV. And I'm going to rest. And in the morning, I'm just going to get up and keep going. And then I have a meeting at 3 where I'm going to tell the woman at the gas station, hey, I'm sorry. And it went again. And then I asked again, and it went again. So I'm grateful for the opportunity you were going to give me, but I can't dispute that. I'm not crazy. It's happened in my external reality. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. It's not a delusional thought. So I hope we're cool. I know you have 16 other applicants. Take one of those guys. I'm sure they'll be great. So things are working, and I believe in, and I'm just going to keep going. So thank you for listening. I do have PayPal. Cree Rose. If you're still here, Cree Rose. I know what you mean. Cree Rose, I'll put community tab. So if you go to my channel in like the next couple hours, I'll download PayPal again. I'll put my PayPal. Anything helps. It's all good. It's Mercury and Gatorade or something, which makes like technology weird or something. I don't know. But I appreciate it. Really something. Money Ghost. Somebody gave me $20 today. I think I made 20. Uncle Will sent me $10. Heather sent me some. I bought some food today. I bought some drinks. I was dehydrated. So I might have like $70. Somebody that like a year ago, I posted that I want to save the world and I have potential and I want a camera. And I wanted my cousin to get a computer so we could do animation and make a show. I just was like, trust me, I'm not a junkie. I'm trying to get jobs. And I told them my story. And everyone ignored me, but like a couple days ago, a nice older woman found my post and is offering to send me a Visa card with some money on it because she doesn't know how to do, she's old, and so she doesn't know how to do Cash App or PayPal. So she might send me 100 plus I might have like 70 or 80 now. That's 200. I plan on saving it. So I mean, the worst case, I think I might want a ticket to Hawaii. That might be what I save it for. If I don't want to winter and I want to go to Hawaii and play guitar before, Maui burned down and we're about to hit an artificial intelligence revolution and our president is about to be exposed as a pedophile and he's panicking and the wars aren't stopping. They're just telling us they are, but there's no evidence it's really stopping. Hear that gunshot? So I'm just trying to stockpile some money. I have my workout equipment now. Like I can at least do pull-ups, dips, push-ups. Yeah, that's not fireworks. I know what fireworks sound like. Somebody's shooting a gun out there. So I'm just trying to save it. I don't really have a goal for it other than maybe a car in the future, a computer, an e-bike. $1,000 bow for $500. It's called a bear bow, an extreme bear, which is cool because bear's like one of my spirit animals that I like. My dad and I really like have sentimental things. So to have a bear bow, and then they have targets in this high school, and just there's that gun. People have shot at me before. I thought maybe I could get a bow and practice because I think that would be really healthy for me and help me focus. I always wanted a bow, but I'm also thinking about if I don't want to get a car, I could get a dirt bike. Like a street legal dirt bike isn't as expensive as a car, and it's better on gas. So I'm thinking about that. I want a computer for my music and for animation and video editing to make my stuff better. Stuff like that I'm working towards. So all the money just gets saved right now until I need phone service and I buy phone service. In the community tab. So you just go to my channel and yeah, it is very cool of her. It's a blessing. And I don't want to make the wrong decision with it. I wasted a lot of money on McDonald's in the past charging my phone. And if I had saved that money getting a couple sandwiches and a drink at McDonald's up here is like $7. So at one point there was somebody sending me 100 a week and like 70 of it went to McDonald's, and I feel bad. I know if I saved that, I would have like $2,000 now. So I've learned from my mistakes and I'm saving it. But people have shot at me here for real. They've shot at me a couple months ago. And in Morrisville, they tried to shoot me once. So it's ominous, I'm worried. But I don't let it stop me. My phone's gonna die. So I would say to everybody, just keep it positive. Maybe life is happening for you. And, when you think about things, imagine what if it could be better than you expect, and try to hold on to that and spend time away from your phone, out in nature, in the sunlight, in like open spaces like this where nobody's going to bother you. And it changes your life. Society brings us so far away from this that it's overwhelming and scary to be out here. But this is what normal is. And it seems like it's getting harder to be normal. So out here, I just saw a shooting star right to left, right by the constellation Ursa Major, which is the big bear, which is cool. When I was thinking about, should I stay out here and not get a job, and I got another shooting star right to left. So I can't knock that. I don't know what these stars are. I've never been up there. I don't know what's going on. But it's been years now of me asking for shooting stars and getting them instantly as confirmation that living in spirit and leaving society is real and not crazy. So with that, thank you. Thank you for listening. Have a good night, everybody. I appreciate you guys more than you know.